let's make a junk journal together. So tonight has been a night, like Saturday was also a day. So anyway, we are going to be making a junk journal today. This is a free class. It's open to anyone who is watching, no matter where you're watching. This is streamed to a couple different platforms. So we are going to construct a junk journal. I did make, there's 4 classes for this series. This is a February junk journal. You could use the video tips and techniques and stuff like that to make any kind of journal. However, I'm making a French roses / Valentine's Day journal. Yes, I am aware Valentine's Day was Saturday. That's the February journal that I'm making. So anyway, whatever I'm showing you guys tonight how to do, you can use for whatever theme journal you're working in. If you have never made a journal, there's a lot of information here that's useful for newbies, as well as there's some little tips and techniques and things that I might do a little bit differently than other people. And so even if you are a very experienced junk journal maker, I think that it's worth a watch. The other thing that happens, so I'm going to be crafting. There's 2 cameras. There's one that faces down. I will show you every single step that I'm doing up close in detail. We'll talk about specifically tonight's class is making the signature for a junk journal. And there is a formula of how to make the perfect signature. In my opinion, I know there's a million ways to do it. There's no right or wrong way to do it, but I'm going to show you my formula for how to construct the signature for your junk journal. And then we're going to talk about all the little papers that you can add in, kind of things that help make a junk journal signature more interesting, how some journals, they just feel more authentic, more antique in the hand. So we'll talk about all of that kind of stuff. How to build the perfect junk journal signature. We will get one done. I might sew it in on camera. I might not. It just depends on how much time we want to spend on that. And so we're going to focus on the signature tonight, and then we're going to make ephemera. So we're going to have a whole second portion of tonight where we just make different kinds of ephemera pieces. You guys are welcome to copy one for one exactly what I'm doing, or you can mix it up and take whatever I'm showing you and apply it to a different piece of ephemera that you want to make for your journal. Say you're making a farmhouse journal, you can make whatever. If I make a glassine bag or I collage this or that, you can obviously use those same techniques to make other kinds of ephemera. So let's see. This is the 4 series. A 4 series class. Last class is up on my YouTube channel. It was a week ago Saturday, and we did the cover construction. So if you are looking for a new way to make a junk journal cover, if you are looking for an easy but amazing looking junk journal cover, maybe you're a newbie, maybe you're experienced and you're just like, hey, I want to do something different, give that video, the last one, it's up on my channel. It's under the live section of my channel. Give that one a watch. We do construct the entire cover that you're going to see here in just a minute in the last class. We also made a master board in the last class. We cut it up, we decorated it, we made ephemera, and we made some additional pockets last class. Today, like I said, we're going to focus on signature, the way to build the perfect signature, how to space out your pages, how many pages. Then we're going to talk about how many pockets, how many tags, how many whatever. The perfect signature is what we're aiming for. A full journal that's not too gator mouth. I'll show you my way. You can do it your way. I'm going to show you my way. And then we'll make more ephemera. So it's just pocket. We're going to focus on pockets tonight after we do our signature. And then there's 2 more classes. So there'll be another class on Saturday, and it's at 9 a.m. Arizona time and 11 a.m. Eastern time. And I have to giggle because tonight's class was advertised 5 p.m. Eastern time. And it was really 5 p.m. Arizona time, 7 p.m. Eastern time. So I'm in Arizona and it is 5 p.m. now. I did go and correct as many of the Facebook posts as I could to correct the time to read 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I do apologize if I have messed you guys up and messed your schedules up. I just can't get it together today, I guess is the best way to explain that. So anyway, the normal class time is Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we'll do one this Saturday. And this Saturday is all ephemera making because by Saturday, we will have made our cover, we will have constructed our signature, we'll sewn it in, and we'll start putting pockets and tags and things in. So next Saturday is literally all ephemera and decorating your journal. And that last fourth class is whatever we need to do. If we need to decorate the cover, if we need to sew beads and charms on our signature strings, if we want to put some additional embellishments in the journal. Specifically, I aimed that last class to fill up the top portion of your junk journal, because when you make a junk journal, like this is my Christmas one. Sorry, I'm reaching. This is my Christmas one, right? So, oh, I'm low on ink apparently everywhere. Anyway, this is my Christmas junk journal. And if you notice, the bottom of it, there's a lot of pockets and stuff in the bottom. But if you squish the top of your junk journal, if you squish the top, see, there's not very much at the top, but there's a lot down here at the bottom. I'm trying to hold this straight, but I'm terrible. So anyway, the last class will focus on filling up that top portion. You don't want to leave it to where everything is all like, bottom heavy. You do want to put some embellishments at the top. So anyway, fourth class, finishing touches, anything that remains that we need to do, that kind of stuff. So, thanks for joining. Thanks for joining this mess tonight. Every single Saturday for the rest of the year, we should have a free crafting class where we are making junk journals. From time to time, we'll dive into some mixed media and other techniques, or I will post an additional free class that will cover mixed media techniques, one or the other. Tonight, we're just going to build that signature and fill it out. So thank you all for joining, and I'm sorry that it's on a weird day. It's a Monday, a Monday evening instead of a Saturday. I hope that you all had a great weekend. I hope that you all had a great Valentine's Day for those of you that celebrate that. If the reason why it got moved from Saturday to tonight is because on Friday, my daughter, we don't know what happened, but she came in contact with something that she had a really bad allergic reaction to. She's pregnant. We had to take her to the ER. I had to take her to the ER. She was having, they said, an anaphylactic reaction. They did give her EpiPen. It calmed down right away. She's doing fine now, but it was just a lot. And it was a late night on Friday. And then I had the baby with me, which was already planned for me to have my 6-month-old grandson with me. But he was crabby. He was not feeling good. Like I said, it was a late night. His sleep schedule was off. By the time I got the baby back here, it's an hour drive from where she was in Arrowhead. So it was a lot. And there was no way I could do the crafting class on Saturday with a crabby baby as well as everything else. So that's why we had to move it. Thank you guys for being patient and allowing me to move the class. The thing that happens during the class is I show you on, the camera, the table, whatever. But the other thing that's great that happens during all of my live classes is the chat. The chat is open to everyone. You can just come into chat. You can say hello. If this is your first time here, everyone welcomes you, whether it's your first time or your 100th time. But come on into chat. Say hello. You can let people know this is your first time here. Of course, they will welcome you if you say it's your first time here. But the class, part of it is me showing you stuff, and the other part of it is you all chatting about junk journals and live chat. So if you have a question about glue, if you have a question about paper weight, or how many signatures for, this kind of a spine, or whatever kind of junk journal question you have, you can ask in chat. And if you want to ask me specifically, if you use all caps, then I will know you're talking to me. But unless you use all caps, I just assume you guys are talking to each other in chat. But it's just a bunch of junk journal makers. So right now there's 71 people, a bunch of junk journal makers all getting together with a live chat that's open where anyone can ask any type of questions. I do ask that you guys obey simple basic rules where you don't advertise yourself and you don't say anything rude or inappropriate, which never happens here really. But I'm just saying, with basic rules, the chat is there for you. You guys can ask questions. You can chat about junk journals. You can chat about slow stitching. You can chat about whatever you want to chat about, as long as we have some basic rules. And while you guys are doing that, I'll be showing you how to make a junk journal. So I'm going to switch the camera down so we can go ahead and get started. There we go. Okay, so as you can see from my table, I have quite a few things out there. I have some crafting supplies next to me, and I'm going to probably at some point have to go find something in my craft room. But for now, let's talk about what's on the desk. So we have, let me show you the covers in case you didn't watch last Saturday's class, the Saturday before Saturday. Yeah, the Saturday before Saturday. 1 week ago, last Saturday, we made these covers. And so these are my 3 junk journal covers. And I show you how to make them in the video. If you want to watch that, it's a super basic but really, really wonderful junk journal cover. You can see it's thick. You can see it's got velvety fabric that's all the way around it, wrapped to the inside. It's a really nice cover. And so tonight we're going to make signatures. Well, at least one signature to put into one. I'll make the other 2 off camera. But these are my covers. This is the finished product from last class. So this one, I did not put a lace pocket in. And really, honestly, I didn't put it in because I forgot. So you can see I did a decorative stitch across the cover. And I just used like a linen colored thread for that. So, and I'll show you too. If you have a Brother sewing machine, this is stitch number 10. If you have a Brother sewing machine, it's stitch number 10. And I like this stitch because when it sews around the inside, I'm going to try to give you a close up. When it sews around the inside, it's mostly not perforating the cardstock cover. Every now and then it comes in and grabs the cardstock, but the rest of the time it's sewing the fabric down. So you have less holes in your cardstock, less perforations, which anytime you sew on paper, you want the least amount of holes as possible. So see how that thread comes in? Like if you look at this pattern, it's sewing around. Oh my gosh, let me show you. How can I get it right there? Okay, so it sews a straight line, but every once in a while it comes in and grabs that cardstock on the inside cover. So this is stitch number 10 on a Brother sewing machine. There's that. And that's what I did for the decorative stitch. You can see I put lace in, a lace pocket. I left it hang out the bottom like we kind of talked about. So it's got some frilly lace right there. On the inside, it looks like this. When we sew our signature in, this will become a nice lace pocket right here where you can stick a tag or something like that down in there. Tag, journal card. So to sew the lace on, basically you make your cover, take your piece of lace, lay it on where you want it. I like to line up the pattern in the lace with the edge of my cover. And so I just made sure, you know, as close as I could that it was lined up, you know, to the bottom of this little circle right here. And that's how I got it straight. And then I just clipped it, and I don't clip all the way around. I really just clip on the edges. And then I start sewing down here, and I'll sew across the bottom of the lace, and I'll come up and sew right here, or I'll start here and come around and sew like that. So basically you're not gluing this lace on at all. The lace is literally just sewn to the cover when I did this decorative stitch. So that's how that works. Very simple, but we're going to put a signature in this one. Okay, so these are 3 junk journal covers because I make 3 journals at a time. I think that if you have all the supplies out, you might as well make in multiple. So if you are selling junk journals, you have 3. You're going to have all the same stuff, right? You're going to have the same digital. You're going to have the same papers. You might make different pieces of ephemera. This is what ephemera we made last week also. I'll recap that. So after I make ephemera, some people like to stick it under their desk mat or a book or something like that. I just put rubber bands on mine. Works pretty good to keep it kind of flattened down. And so last time we had a class, we made 3 of these little music card pockets. And so for that one journal that doesn't have a lace pocket, you know, not that I want to put more roses on it, but all of these have roses. But you could just put a simple little pocket in there, was my point really. And so we made these 3 pockets out of just little music cards. The music cards are available in Etsy. This journal, it actually came with a digital kit, and that digital kit I printed and had it all in the pack with all the antique papers and all the supplies. We do have some journal kits for February still remaining. There's just like 10 of them or so that are remaining. So if you want the physical junk journal kit that makes this cover and all the pages and all the ephemera and all the decorating bits, those are still available. You just text me to order it. If you want the music cards, they're in Etsy. That's all the advertising I'm going to do tonight. Otherwise, it's just, it's a free class and I don't want to do too much, self-promotion or advertising. But anyway, in addition to these music pockets and the cover, I also made these pockets, and these were just simple little collage pockets. And the base of them is my master board. So my master board that we made last class was cut up, and I decorated 3 little pockets like this. So I could put this little bird, in the one that didn't have lace, he could have went there. So we made 6 pockets already. And then I made these tags. Again, this was the master board that I cut up from last class. And we put these French fashion ladies on there. These are originals. But yeah. So that was the master board pieces. And that was the music cards and the cover. So we accomplished all of that in one class. All of this was one class. So tonight we're going to work on signatures. And yes, I filmed some 365 videos. They're not uploaded yet, but I did film some. So anyway, let's talk about signatures. Let's talk about what kind of papers we want to put in there. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. So for signatures, if you purchased the physical junk journal kit, if you purchased the kit that had all the papers and stuff, then you already have all of this. If you want to purchase the digital kit, the digital got listed. I know a lot of you guys asked. The digital finally did get listed. It got listed this afternoon, and it is available in Etsy. And I also put it in the first comment up at the top of the chat box. So anyway, if you want these exact papers and ephemera and fussy cuts, they're in Etsy. If you got the kit, it came with them, and they were all pre-printed on cardstock and all of that kind of stuff. So the first page of your kit is the liner of your cover. So the first page is the liner of your cover. The second page is the journal cards, or you could cut them into tags if you wanted. So that's the second page that came, and that's printed on parchment paper or parchment cardstock. This is your fussy cuts, right? So that and these roses, those are your fussy cuts. Those are in the kit in Etsy. These are your journal pages. And so your journal pages is what I'm going to start with tonight to build a signature. And we'll deal with some of the ephemera and decorating bits later when we make tags and journal cards. So let's set those to the side. We'll use those in a little bit. We want to talk about the actual journal pages. So we have this one, and it's backed with that. And I have this one, and it's backed with that. So there's those 2. Then we have this one. And I'm showing you these in case you get the digital from Etsy and you want to see how I printed them. If you're trying to make exactly the same journal without buying the physical kit, more power to you. But this is how I printed them if you want to back them the same way. So there's that. So far, all of those are in the digital. That's in the digital. This one is actually not in a digital. This is an antique document scan. So that one, maybe you have something similar. Maybe you have a document that you can scan and that you can print on the back. But this page is, that page is, that page is, this one is, that one there. This one is not, and that one is not. Those are from something separate. Now, if you got the physical kit, they're in there. But we're going to make these. We're going to turn these into journal pages today. We're going to mix them with a bunch of coffee dyed paper and a lot of fun and interesting paper to build the perfect signature. So I'm going to set my covers to the side for right now. I got book crumbs on them. I'm going to set my covers to the side because we don't really need those at the moment. What we do need is we need to figure out how many, like if you're making a junk journal signature, how many digital pages is the perfect number? It depends on a lot for personal preference, but in a single signature journal, because these are single signatures, they have, you know, a tiny little spine. And when we're done with them, they're going to have a little bit wider of a spine. But this is a single signature journal. So if you want to build multiple signatures, the rule of thumb for multiple signatures is the more signatures you have, the less pages you put per signature. So for instance, I'm building a single signature journal and my goal is to have 15, you know, normal size papers in it. That doesn't mean 15 digitals. That means 15 8.5 by 11 sheets of sturdy paper. That's what that means. Now, in addition to the 15 sturdy 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper, you're going to see me mix in all kinds of antique book pages, different sizes, different weights of paper, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to add in some inclusions like doilies, paper bags, glassine bags, envelopes. So those are my inclusions. I'm going to add in some floral book pages. I'm going to add in some coffee dyed paper. I'm going to add in whatever Florentine paper or glassine or vellum, music paper, all that kind of stuff. But we're aiming for 15 thick, sturdy 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper. My digitals, the ones I gave you guys in your kits, they're 28-pound weight of paper. I think 28-pound paper is the perfect weight of paper for a signature page in a junk journal. It's sturdy enough that you can glue pockets and stuff to it that are pretty weighty. It's sturdy enough that you could glue lace on the edges of the paper without it being too flimsy. It's sturdy enough you could use the Tim Holtz tiny attacher and stick stuff on it and not have it be too flimsy, too floppy, that kind of stuff. So 28-pound paper is my favorite weight of paper for digitals. I'm going to aim if I'm aiming for 15 papers overall, I'm going to aim for like no more than 8 printed digital pages. So in my signature, I want no more than 8. So we're going to have to choose which 8 of these we're going to use. And so we're going to do that one. That one is my favorite, I think. So we're going to add that one in. And so we're just going to go ahead and start folding. Now with my digitals, I've printed them all borderless. I don't want any plain white paper showing. They're all printed borderless and they're all double-sided. So I have, you know, nothing to worry about. I don't need to stencil or try to cover anything. I'm just going to fold my pages in half. So there's one. This one is going to be my second one. I mean, not in order, but I'm just going to call that my second one. And for right now, I'm going to fold them all exactly the same direction. And then if I need to change and say, oh, well, you know, I really want this red one, then I'll flip it around and turn it. But for now, I'm just going to fold them and stick them in a pile until I have 8 of my favorite. So there's that one. I'm going to be using this one today. That one I'm going to fold just like that. And I'm just lining them up with my finger on the edge and just folding them. I don't need to score them or anything else. You can just fold them by hand there. I'm going to use this one. So there's that one. That's 4. I need 4 more. 4 more digitals. There's that one. I hope that you guys are having a good night. I am excited to get this journal to come together. For me, the sewing in of the signature is my favorite part because after you sew the signature in, you have a physical journal that you can hold in your hand and you can, you know, get to the fun part of decorating. So for me, the sewing of the signature means I have a real journal, right? So once I get to that point, I at least have a journal. It might be a naked journal or an undecorated journal, but at least it's a journal. So I have 8 pages here. 8 pages. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's my 8 digital pages. They're folded in half, and that is my very first stack of paper. So I'm going to lay things out into stacks, and then when I assemble my signature, I'm going to just pull in order of these stacks. So my first pile is my 8 digitals. Next pile is going to be coffee dyed paper. And remember, I want 15 total 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper. And so we're going to need some coffee dyed, right? We're going to need some coffee dyed. I've got a pile of it here. Now, how many coffee dyed papers is really preference, right? You could use 4, you could, put one every other paper, something like that. I'm going to start this journal with 4. If I need another one, I'll pull it later. But for now, I'm going to start with 4. And this is the way that you fold a stack of paper together. It seems simple, but a lot of times, like I just folded every one of those digitals individually. You can just fold a whole stack of coffee dyed paper together, pull it apart, and separate them into your pages. And because they're all floppy on this end, just give them another crease and then they're good to go. So now I've got four coffee dyed papers. That's next. Now in the digital kit, there is not this paper, but in the physical junk journal kit, there is this paper. This is a piece of printed vellum. It has a beautiful French embroidery pattern on one side. And on the other side, it's a French document. So that came included in your physical kit. That's going over there because that's a page. Now, there also is some music paper in your digital or in your physical kit. Some music paper. Now, I don't know if I want the more creamy color, if I want the whiter color. I'm going to say I want the whiter color. So I'm just going to choose one of those. And I'm going to fold it in half. Now, sometimes music paper is more of a 9 by 12 size. And I know for a fact this one is a 9 by 12, and I can't have any paper be bigger than 8.5 by 11, or it's not going to fit nice in my cover. Now, you could do a fold out or a flip out or whatever with it, but this one really, we don't need to do that. What we do need to do, if you're using your physical kit that you got, you have music paper in it, exactly the same size. I'm going to give it a little crease, and then I'm just going to tear it. We need to bring the size down a little bit. So we're just roughly tearing it. And I don't care if it's smaller, but I can't have it be bigger than 8.5 by 11. So smaller is fine. Bigger is not. And again, I'm just going to tear it. If it tears crooked, that's okay. Like, that's great. I love it when it tears crooked. Some people would freak out about it. To me, it's just more natural. It's going to be like an older piece of paper, very rarely are super old antique papers perfectly straight. So we're just going to rough tear that. We're going to come in here and rough tear this top again. Now that we've got super crooked, there we go. So there's my paper. And what did I lose? I just lost some white, edges and stuff that we don't care about. So we're going to move those off to the side. And now we have that. Okay, so these two are just different papers that we're adding in. If you notice, this one is no longer 8.5 by 11 size. It's not, it's smaller. So I'm not going to count this guy in my 15 total pages. Nor am I going to count the vellum. The vellum is very thin. It's strong because it's vellum, but it's very thin. So I'm not counting these as my 15. I am counting these as my 15 because they are very sturdy. My coffee dyed paper is 28 pound as well. So those ones I'm counting in 15. These ones I'm not. And you're going to see how this comes together here in just a few minutes. Okay, so there's that. Let's talk about what else we can put in a signature. So if you're crafting at home, you can grab some music paper, you can grab some coffee dyed paper, your favorite digital, whether it be mine or anybody else's, doesn't matter. You could run some vellum through the printer and print yourself something on some vellum. If you have any Florentine paper, you could grab some Florentine paper and use that in here as a page in your junk journal. If you got the physical kit, it had a piece of Florentine paper in it. You could fold it in half just like that and make that a page in your journal. A page. So there's another small little page. Okay, so now I have 3 of those. Let's see what else we could put in a signature. So right now I'm pulling things that were included in the physical kit. In just a few moments, I'm going to pull antique papers that are original French antique papers from my room behind me. So for now, we're pulling things from the kit. In just a moment, we'll pull things that are actual antique originals. The first thing I'm going to pull is a large piece of this rag paper. This is like a 1600s dictionary paper. And I'm going to pull that. I really like the weight of the rag paper, the durability. And you notice I folded that sideways because it was too big to fit other way. So there's that one. We're going to put that one in. And then I have some book pages. We're going to need a couple of those. These are just some sturdy French antique rag paper book pages. Let's put this one that says The Princess. Let's put that one in. And then for this one, let's put this one in. So some different kind of book pages that are either rag paper or not rag paper. Use whatever you have. So now we're looking at book pages. I've got some smaller ones here. I'm going to use this guy here. That's a nice small one. So we've got 3 little book pages there. That's good. So this is our book page category. So we've got a couple different categories, so far 4. I've got printed digitals, coffee dyed paper, miscellaneous, lightweight or small papers. Now I'm doing book pages. And then after book pages, we've got these botanical ones, and one of these folios came in your kit. We're just going to pull whatever random one. Like you could choose something that had red in it or not. It doesn't really matter. It's nice to have variety of color. Tim Holtz double-sided cardstock. Yes, it is a little, in my opinion, it is too thick to use as signature pages. You could use 1 or 2, a couple sheets of that if you wanted. But I think cardstock journal pages are too thick. I don't think you're going to be happy with the journal in the end. I would stick to a 28-pound or thinner paper. If you're using journal pages, 28-pound is great. Anything thicker than that, you're going to be a little tougher to work with. Anything thinner, your pockets and stuff aren't going to want to stick. Your pages are going to want to tear. It's just not really sturdy enough. So that's my opinion. This is a book page. It's going in the book page pile. After that, we've got some add-ins, some fun little things to add into a junk journal signature to add interest. This little glassine, not really glassine, but it is a food safe little bag. We're going to add into the signature, and we're going to decorate it once it's in the signature. But for now, we're just going to fold it in half because we're going to sew it into the signature. We'll decorate it up later, and I do not cut this side yet. If you know that you just want to cut the end off and have that be a pocket, you can go ahead and do it. But I like to see where it ends up in the signature before I decide if it's a side pocket or a top pocket. So for now, I'm not going to cut it open. I'm just going to leave it just folded like that. I know that I also want to include the craft cardstock envelope that came in your kit. So all of these little add-ins, they came in the physical junk journal kit. The next thing is a doily. I might use this red paper heart doily, or I might use this white one. I don't know yet. So we're going to assemble the signature and we're going to see how these fall. The red heart one, I really like, and I was thinking about putting it into the center signature of the junk journal. I really, really think that that would be a cute look. So I'm going to fold one and we'll see how it looks once it's in there. But I'm also going to fold a white one in half and see how that looks. So I'm going to use one or the other, not both, but there they are. So for add-ins, I like a bag, some kind of bag, glassine bag, paper bag, some kind of little baggie is really cute as an add-in. An envelope is a cute, easy add-in. And then also a doily. So 3 things that are not, a sheet of paper that maybe you wouldn't normally find, a bag or an envelope or a doily shoved into a junk journal signature. I think they're pretty common, but it's something that's a different shape, it's a different size, it's a different texture of paper. You use it in a different way because they're pockets, right? We have, cards and journaling things in them. So I think that these things add a lot of interest when mixed into your signature. So there's that. Now, the other category that is not here is the antique and vintage paper category. For me, I have a lot of it, so I use originals. But for a lot of people, their originals are precious and they don't want to use the originals. So whatever I put over here in this category of antique, you could use digitals that are printed out. You could use a different type of specialty paper that you love, but you wanted to mix in there. I like to use old things because it adds instant authenticity, right? Like I'm using these, I'm designing a vintage junk journal. I want my junk journal to look and feel, have that vintage vibe, right? So I'm going to use some old things to help bring that vintage antique feeling to my junk journal. And there's no better way to do it other than real stuff, real authentic documents. But if you don't have authentic documents, you can look on Etsy or, maybe you already have some digitals that you can print out. So if you have, antique stuff, use it. If you don't, then grab digitals. That's fine too. So in your kit, you got a piece of antique French ledger paper. I don't have that in here, so I'm going to find something similar and we're going to use that. I'm also going to grab an antique, vintage, whatever kind of French ledger. I'm going to grab a French ledger paper. I'm going to grab some type of handwritten original French document, probably some legal document. And I'm also going to grab a check or receipt or both. So that's going to be my antique category. And I'm going to have to grab those on the fly because I don't have any pole. So let me see what's in this bin quick. Like for French things, I could, if I wanted to, use this French ledger paper. These are things that are just sitting next to me. So if we use them, we use them. If we don't, we don't. Here's the paper. That's an antique French handwritten document. We could use that one. I mean, it is good to use things out of this bin. This bin is really just just taking up space at the moment. It's full of all kinds of things. Ooh, here's something. Oh, this is like a children's school book from France, and it has a lot of handwriting in it. So we could even use some of that in there. So there's another option for antique stuff. Let's see what else is antique that's in this bin that we can pull out quick. I mean, our book pages are antique, but let's see what else. I have a lot of book pages. Here's some fancier French school book that has purple ink on it. That might be nice. So there's that. Of course, I want some French fashion magazine to decorate, and I have those off to the side too. So I think in this bin, that's all the antique stuff I have. So let me find some checks and some invoices quick. So let's look at this. Let's look at this. Like, I know there's checks in here. And I know that this is actually a pretty decent looking one because it's got some red on it. It's kind of neutral color. Like, we could easily use one of those. This is a pile of French things that hasn't been gone through. You can see that no one's even taken the time to like cut the string and open them. Let's find an invoice. I mean, that's a really pretty one too. It's not really a check, but I do like the purple on it. So we have some good options right off the top. So let's find an invoice that we like. something that's maybe, you know, colored the right way, pinky red. Maybe it has something to do with Valentine's Day. Like, even that's not a bad one. It's really decorative and kind of nice looking. Maybe we do use that. I kind of like it. I mean, I'm going to put it to the side. Maybe we'll use one of those. Again, if you don't have this kind of material, then a good place to get it is Etsy or on Tuesday or Thursday night. You know, I know you guys know I share all of my things with you guys on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I do have 3 of those. I could put one of these in each one of my 3 journals. So if you're looking for authentic things, Tuesdays and Thursdays here on this channel. Okay, here's another one that is really, really neutral color. We could definitely use that. There's more in here. I don't really see anything else that's like red or pink. Not really anything red or pink. Here's a robin's egg blue document. This is like a massive pile of the same kind of invoice. It's like 100 of the same invoices. And all kinds of other checks. All right, so nothing pink or red there. These green ones are kind of nice, but not for Valentine's. Okay, I think we're good. We're going to look for some other handwritten document, and then we're going to call this pile good. All right, let's see what we use. I've got this invoice that we might put in the signature. I've got a check or a receipt, not sure which one, but there's a couple. I've got some book crumbs again. There's a couple checks and receipts. So all of that stuff could be put in there. I've got some children's book page from a school book, and I think I'm going to use this purple. So let's grab a signature of this purple. And it's got the lovely French handwriting. So we're going to use that. And then I really do like this page. And I like this, but I'm going to look for one other thing. So let me find some ledger that is like, this one has a lot of blue. I'm going to find a ledger that has pink, and I'm going to look for a different handwritten document. So I know that I have some pink ledger right over here. Pardon me while I rummage through my room. There is a folio of pink ledger right here. There's this one. So it's basically exactly like the blue one, but it's pink. So we could use that one. That one's pretty good. Pretty good there. Let's see what else we have. We need a handwritten document. A handwritten document. And you guys know that there should be like a million jumping out at me. But do you think that I just, you know, have my room organized where I can find it? Of course not. Of course not. So I'm going to grab one of these. I'm going to take apart a book from the 1600s. Yes, I am. So she says. So she says. There's this one. There's this one that has all of this handwriting. Could take apart that one. I don't know what else. Let's grab a French document, like a legal document like this. Let's grab something like that and use it. These two are kind of like pasted together down here in the corner. Let's see what's in this pile. More robin's egg blue stuff. See how you can see that it's blue here when it's compared to like pink? Here's a nice pink legal cover. That's a lovely ledger paper. We could use that one too. So many good options. There's a bigger one. Here's one that I've already folded for a signature. There's a lot of good options of things. This is the kind of document that I'm looking for. Just want a nice, sturdy document. All right. Got some envelopes. That would be nice tucked in there. Let's use that. They've got all kinds of options here. Here's a nice antique letter that we could tuck in as ephemera later. So I'm going to get distracted for like 3 more minutes and then we're moving on. It's easy to get distracted in this room. Let's use that too. This is also a good one for in the signature. It's an actual letter. I found lots of things in this pile. Let's use that one. Okay, I'm good. I found all my things, she says while she still looks. Nope, I found a lot. Let's use it. Okay. So the final selection of antique things, it did grow just a tiny little bit. It did. And I'll show you. Sorry for putting that in front of the camera. We could use these. That one's already folded to go in the signature, and I have a couple extra. I really like the color of this one. And that's what I'm going to end up using. Okay, so I like the color of this one. I'm going to use that in my signature. I'll probably put it sideways, but I could put it in like that. Let's see. And then I'm going to use these just as ephemera. And these are coming on Tuesday, tomorrow or Thursday, letters and envelopes. This one I'm going to fold up and use as ephemera. So I'm not changing anything on these, just setting them to the side to include later. This one I'm going to fold in half and I'm going to use in the signature right now. So let's fold that guy in half. He was folded before, but you know, in the olden days, and he wasn't folded straight. So let's fold him in half and put him in like that. Okay. This guy, our last category is our old documents. This one is a little bit too big, right? It's a little bit too big. So you have options. You could fold in the pages like this to get them to fit. And you could fold up the bottom for a pocket. So we're going to do some fold outs on this one. And that's going into our antique category. And you'll notice I have some selections of handwriting. That is exactly the type of things I'm looking for. Now this one is the antique ledger paper. And I'm going to fold it just like this. And I'm going to fold in this little extra bit. Right like that. And I'm going to have a little flip out on that page as well. So a little flip out. And that's going to be my ledger paper. So again, handwriting, handwriting, handwriting. I'm going to see about adding this in there. Let's see about adding that. It's kind of on a vintage onion skin paper. Let's see about adding that one. And that one. I like those two. I'm going to add these two. Okay, that's it. I've got a French check. I've got a French invoice. I've got a French ledger paper. I've got a French document. And I have one bonus French schoolbook page. That's my antique category. Yes, it is large, but you know, I'm going to jam it in there. So let's get together the signature, okay? And get it sewn in if we're going to do that. I think we are, but let's get it done. So you'll notice all of these papers, they're very thin and very flimsy and they're old, right? So I'm not going to count if you look at the size, they're not as big as 8.5 by 11, right? They're not as big. You can see they're quite a bit smaller. They're also thinner. They're not 28 pounds. Like, they're sturdy enough to put in the signature, but they're not going to count as our 15 total pages. So, you know, they're pretty small. So we're not counting those. This check, we know that we're going to sew in, fold it in half. So there's that folded in half. Again, it's small. And if we stick this guy in, he'll be folded like that. And again, it's onion skin paper. It's very thin. So there's that. And the only other one that I'm going to fold after we assemble our signature, I think. I mean, we could try to fold it now, but I need more room. So this guy needs to fit into this junk journal cover. And if you notice, you know, height-wise, he's okay, but he's pushing it. He's just barely going to fit in there. So we are going to have to either trim some of the bottom or the top, or fold some up for a pocket. Now, he's also too wide. So when you have a paper like this, that's original, if it was a digital, you could just cut it and not really worry. If I cut this, I'm going to lose some of this beautiful French handwriting. And so the other option, instead of cutting, is to just fold in some. And I'm going to fold in a little bit more than half. How should I say this? I'm going to fold in a little bit, like 2.5 inches or so. And that's going to make it pretty skinny. But the reason why I want to fold in more, I'm not just trying to get it to fit in the cover. I also want to fold it in more so that I can see whatever beautiful paper is going to be behind it. I like when you are making fold outs and flip outs to be able to create that layered look within the signature of your junk journal. So whenever you're folding paper to fit in, fold it in a little bit more, fold it back a little bit more than you think that you should. And that way you're going to end up with a beautiful layered look. And you notice I just folded both pieces together, and then I'm going to open it up. And now this one goes this way and this one goes this way. You can flip them around whatever way you want, but now it's going to fit other than the bottom or the top. You could fold it up for a little pocket. For me, I'm going to look at the top and I'm going to look at the bottom, and I'm going to see if I tear this off at the bottom or cut it, am I going to lose something that I really, really care about? The answer is I could trim a little here and I could trim a little there and not really worry too much. Or I could just tear it. Tearing it would be fine too. And so I'm just going to fold up the bottom just a little bit. And I'm just going to tear that off. And I'm not going to care about it. I don't care whether it's straight. I mean, yeah, you know, I'm not trying to get like super jaggedy, but we're really just tearing off this much. We didn't really lose too terribly much that I'm going to cry about. So there's that. Now it will fit into my cover, into my signature. It's well within the borders of that. So that's how we did the school book page. It's still a folio. Okay, moving on. I have all my categories of things. These are my categories. Hopefully, while I did this, you also did yours. Or if you're just crafting along, maybe you're fussy cutting, maybe you're making pockets or some entirely different project, but you're just listening for fun in the background. I have a category number 1, has 8 printed digital papers in it. They are 28-pound paper, double-side printed, and borderless. I have 8 of those. I have 4 28-pound coffee dyed papers, 8.5 by 11. So 4 of those. That's 12 papers right there. That's 12. We're aiming for 15-ish. That's 12. All of the rest of this is going to count as the last 3 papers of my 15. And I'll explain the logic with that. You aim for no more than 15 8.5 by 11, 28-ish pound papers. That's your goal. No more than 15, right? But you'll notice none of these are 8.5 by 11. These are old book pages. None of them are 8.5 by 11. None of them are 28 pound. They're all much thinner papers. Like these paper doilies are nothing. These old rag paper book pages, while thick and lovely, they don't really bulk out your signature. They don't really add you know, bulk and gator mouthing to your signature. Vellum, it adds a little, you could count vellum in that category because technically it is 8.5 by 11, but I'm not going to because it's very thin. So all of this are little add-in papers. This is what makes your junk journal signature look like $1 million. This category over here. These are the basics. These are the staples. These are what people expect to find in a junk journal signature. You expect to find printed digitals and coffee dyed paper. All of this is extra bonus fun. And the more antique things that you can shove in your signature, the more people will pay for it, number one. And the more people will like it, number two. So if you have it and you don't mind using it or digitals of it, go ahead and use it. All of these things, these add-in things, these are just fun. These are interactive little elements that are fun. The book pages and stuff like this, these are necessary to break up the monotony. These papers here, these ones are used to break up the monotony of digital coffee dye, digital coffee dye, digital coffee dye. You mix in these to break up the monotony of this. And you can also mix in the antique ones to break up the monotony of this. These guys here are just pure fun, you know, pockets and tucks and you know, paper doilies and things like that. So here's how we're going to assemble this. We're going to take our categories, put them back in order. I've got digitals, coffee dyed. This is like extra interesting papers, vellums, music, whatever, Florentine. These are book pages. They're all different book pages. These are the fun things. These are the documents. Here we go. First thing first is when you open up the cover of your junk journal, pretend that you just bought this junk journal or this is for yourself, right? Maybe you're making it for yourself. You're making it for a gift. Maybe you've been commissioned by somebody. They want you to custom make them a journal. And we'll talk about some of that too. As we craft tonight, we're going to talk about some best practices to sell your junk journals. I'm going to give you guys some hints and some tricks of, you know, where to sell your junk journals. If you're selling them, maybe how to price your junk journals. That's a question I get asked a lot. If you are, you know, going to take custom orders or you're not going to take custom orders. We can talk about that as we're crafting too. But imagine when you open up the cover of your junk journal, and yes, I do decorate my covers of my journals, but I don't do it until the end because as we're working and putting your signature in and whatever, I just don't think that adding that is a good option until the end because it adds wear and tear. It's bulky, bumpy, whatever. I just want to do it at the end. I want to see what this junk journal's personality is before I commit to decorating the front cover. That's just my style. You do you. But when you open up your front cover and you see in here, what paper do you want to see next to this cover? So this is my inside cover. What paper do I want to see right here? And so I generally lead off with a digital and some smaller book pages or interesting paper, kind of like a little waterfall stair step effect. So the first thing I need to do is pick out which digital is going to look good with the inside cover of my junk journal. And so obviously, you know, this is a little bit clashy, don't really love the colors. It's a beautiful paper, but I don't really love the color. Now you could open it up and say, okay, well, maybe I want to flip it around and I want to have it look like that. In this case, I don't, but it's good to look at both sides of your paper to pick what you want next to that. This one, I know I don't need that one. I don't need that one yet, so we'll put it over there. Now that's a good combination. You could open your journal up and you could see this right here, and that would be beautiful. That's a great option. So I'm going to set that one to the side for just a minute. The colors match, the theme, it tells you right off the bat, this is a February French Rose / Valentine's Day junk journal. That's what, you know, that gives you right there. So that's a great option. The inside of that one is, you know, pinky roses. Again, it's okay, but it's not really giving me the same vibe that that's giving me. So for now, this is our best option. Again, I'm not looking to have, you know, roses next to roses like this. So we're not going to do that. If I can get that one open. That's kind of plain. it would be okay if we flipped this one around, as long as we layered up a bunch of things, did some decorating, whatever. But this page is really designed to put a pocket down here, and I don't want a pocket next to a pocket. This is a lace pocket right here. So I'm not going to use that one. Next option is this one. This one is okay. It's all right. I don't love the busy look of it, so I'm not going to choose it. On the other side, you just have a French document. Again, if you don't have any handwriting, grab a French document that's a digital, and then you could use that. And this is okay. I could do this, but I think it's a little white, little bland. So no, not going to do it. This one, again, it's cute. I don't love the way it looks together. It's an option. It's okay. Not my favorite. So we're going to skip on by that one. This one is another option. It's okay. But I think for me, the colors, this is a little more gray wallpaper vibe. I don't love it. I love the paper, just not next to my cover. And this one, again, it's beautiful. It could work really, really well. You're not going to add a pocket here because you don't want to cover that up. So this could be a great option if you want a very pink, you're setting the tone of, hey, this is a pink shabby journal. This paper is a great option for you for the inside cover. If you flipped it around, you could have this on the inside cover, and that would be beautiful too. Not what I'm looking for, but it would be beautiful. So ideally, you're looking for a digital. You're looking for a digital that you wouldn't put a pocket right here, that you really would not put a pocket. Now this one you could, but I'm not going to. It's got more of a design, a focal point. You're looking for your inside paper to have a design, a focal point, set the tone for the whole rest of your junk journal. It advertises your theme. It says this is a French Rose Valentine's Day journal. You don't put a pocket here. It's good to go. So still the best option we found. This is beautiful, but I don't think it's right for that cover. This is too much same. So no to that one. Now this one, this is another great option. In fact, this was my first choice for this journal. It doesn't scream roses and it doesn't scream Valentine's Day. So if you're not doing a rose or Valentine's Day journal, this paper might be okay on this side. The other option is this for the inside. And again, it's okay, not my favorite. So really for me, it's this one, which I like, or it's this one. And because it's a rose Valentine's Day journal, I'm going to keep with my original choice of this one. So it's personal preference. Either one would have worked. This one just doesn't scream the theme. It doesn't scream roses. So I didn't choose it. I chose that one. So now we've chosen our first paper, our first, the paper you see when you open this journal up. The next thing, now I might end up putting some cute little papers and wrap around and hide, part of this or whatever. Like I'm probably going to do some collaging here in the front of miscellaneous papers, old papers. They're all going to be smaller. I'll put some book page, whatever, in front of this page. More than likely, that's what I'm going to do. I do it pretty much on every journal. But for now, we're not going to worry about that. For now, we're just worrying about assembling the basic signature. And then if we want to go further and do that little waterfall entry, we can come back and do that at the end after we've assembled our signature. So here's the formula for assembling a signature. You know that you need about 15, no more than 15, 8.5 by 11, sturdy 28-pound whatever paper, right? So I've already chosen one of these. You can. I shouldn't say you can't, but it doesn't really look great when you have two printed digitals next to each other. It doesn't look the best when you do that. So when you're assembling your signature, you should have all your papers folded and you find what you want for the inside paper and then you open it up. And now we need to find what looks good in here, right? We can pretty much take away our cover because it doesn't really matter anymore, because now we're seeing what looks good in here. What paper is going to look good next to this pink digital, right? It's a pink wallpaper, French invoice. So we have some options. We don't really want to put another digital in there because it just looks digital, right? It's not great. It's not the best option. Could you turn it around and do digital? You could, but again, I think we can do better. I think we can add more interest and more variety. So I never ever do two digitals back to back. I just don't. That's me. If you like it, then you do you. But for me, I never ever do it. So what do? I usually do digital and then coffee dyed paper, or digital and then book page, digital, and then like you could mix the floral, but that's not my preference. I mean, there's florals here, but no, I'm going to say no to that. What I am going to say yes to is one of these book pages. Because if you look here, you know, that's really antique-y looking. That book page looks pretty darn good there. You know, I think it looks nice together. It looks old. It looks authentic. So I'm going to do that. So I've got book page and digital. I'm going to open up this book page and we're just going to keep working the exact same way. So what do we need to put opposite of this paper? We're always looking to the left paper to see what looks good there. That's the way most people's brains work. It's just natural to look at the left side over here and say, okay, what do I want to see next to that? I said, what do I want to see next to this? I wanted to see this book page. So now we're going to open that up and we're going to work on the inside. And we just keep working that way throughout the whole journal. Now, I know that I want to add writing space in this journal. So I'm going to add a piece of coffee dyed paper here. It looks nice, right? I can still see that border of color and pattern around my book paper. That's why I like to choose some smaller pages, because you do get that little peak of digital and color and pattern. So I'm going to do this combination. This over here, we won't decorate it. We might do some stamping or something in the background, but the idea for coffee dyed paper is that it is purely left for writing. You could do a little decoration, a little collage, a little stamp that somebody could still write over, like just a shadow stamp, right? But you don't want to put pockets on this paper. You don't want to put a belly band on this paper. You want to leave the coffee dyed paper really plain so that people can write and journal on it, right? So we're leaving this like it is for now. And we're going to open it up. And now again, we're focusing on what looks good on the left side, right? So we have two non-digitals, right? We have digital, book page, coffee dye. We need another digital. We need to fit 8 of them in here. So we're going to get another digital in there. And so now, you know, I did, you know, set the tone here. I set the theme. It's French roses. It's Valentine's Day. Now I'm looking for something a little different. I don't want to go back to back, you know, French roses or back to back Valentine's Day. I don't want to use all of my heavy Valentine's Day papers right next to each other. I want to space out. There's only a couple Valentine's Day, you know, Valentine's Day in quotations. There's only a couple in the digital kit. The rest of the digital kit can be used year round for any theme. But what I'm saying is I don't want to use the only 2 that I have like right next to each other. I want to space those out a little bit. This one and this one and these ones and even this one, they're all a little bit different colorway, right? Little shabby, little more pink. This one has a lot of yellow. I want to use one that is different in color tone. I'm not looking for red. We've just used red and we've just used green, right? We want to look for something different. So I'm going to use a completely different color tone. And I'm going to go with either this one or this one. I'm going to go with that one. And if you look, the reason why I chose it, again, I'm focusing on matching what looks good here. If you look at, okay, that looks okay there, but it's a lot of the same color tone. Doesn't really jump out and stand out at you. But if you put this one there, this matches this and it looks really nice and complementary, but we have a lot more color and a lot more pattern there. And that pink kind of goes back to this pink here. So I really like that. I like the feel of that. So now we're going to open up this one. And you guessed it, we're now focusing on matching what looks good here. So for this one, again, this is a digital, so I'm not going to choose another digital to go in there. And I'm not going to instantly put another piece of coffee dye. You could, but we only have 4 to go through the whole signature. So I may or I may not. I probably won't. What I am going to choose is from our pile of extra papers over here. I'm going to choose some of this kind of stuff. And you can see if you look right here, one of the papers on my table, one of them jumps out and it says, I belong right here. Do you guys see which one is jumping out and saying, hey, put me right there? You guys see it? One of them is saying, I look lovely next to this. Anybody know which one of these wants to be right here? It's this one. This one says, I want to be right here. It says red, red, lovely, lovely pattern. It looks beautiful. So it's a smaller paper. It's going to layer in there beautifully. You're going to see another paper on this side over here. You're not going to see this because we're going to open it up. But these two look beautiful. And so now we're going to work this way. This is Florentine paper from Italy. I know it really did jump out at me anyway. Okay, so we're going to work on decorating what looks good on this. It's really blank canvas. We could put anything we wanted to put here. I think we might, we have music here. We have music in the digital, so we don't want to put more music. We could put something like the vellum in there and open it up. But I think that the vellum, not so great with the red. It's okay, but it's not my favorite. So I'm not going to put that either. We could put book page. We have some plain. I'm going to move this one because it's just kind of covering up my book page. We could put some book page there, but we did just use book page right there. So maybe. I think it's time for some authentic French handwriting. I think it's time to use something in this category over here. So we do have a pink background. It's a grungy kind of pink paper back here. I'm going to choose something that looks good with that. And one is jumping out at me, and it's this one. And it has pink lines in the ledger paper. And so that's what's jumping out at me. Now, if you notice, if I fold these two papers together and stack them up evenly at the bottom and stick that there, that doesn't really, it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look bad. If I line everything up at the bottom, it doesn't really look bad. But if you stagger your papers, when you're using two smaller papers, if you stagger them a little bit, I can pop out some of that pink line right there, and I can see a little tiny peak of handwriting and put those right like that. That looks pretty good, but I think we can do something to make this look a little better. I think that because we're using this beautiful French ledger right there, I'd really like to see this. So also, if you look at your two little papers, they kind of end at the same level right here. Yeah, there's a little peekaboo, but there's not enough peekaboo. So when you're layering your papers, it's often a good idea to give yourself a little bit more of a peekaboo. And I'm just going to fold that over just randomly, and now I can see all of that. I think that's a great option. This little bit here, it could be, I didn't do such a great job folding it, but after I straighten it, it could be a little additional tuck where you maybe put a paper clip and you paper clip some ephemera in there. It could be where you actually glue another paper right here and have it continue to flip out. You don't know what it's going to be yet, but at the present time, we just want to fold it in so we can see a little more of this. Now, you could have folded it less or you could have folded it more. It didn't really matter. But now we have a pretty good, interesting spread right here. We have some different papers. I think that looks really good. So we decorated the inside left, right of that by putting this next to it. Now we're going to open up this. We're always working from the center fold and focusing on the left side of the paper. Now we need to find something that looks good here. But also, we're getting to the point where, you know, we're going to need to add a digital, or we're going to need to add coffee dyed paper there. We have two papers, this one and this one, in between this digital. So we could do another digital right here, or we could do a coffee dyed paper right there. Because this blue one has, you know, it has quite a bit of blue. It does have pink, but it has quite a bit of blue. Let's see what looks best there. I could add coffee dyed. That's okay. It's okay. I could add, and again, remember to look on the inside to see if there's something that looks better. I could add that. There's quite a bit of pink in the roses, quite a bit of pink in the lines. That looks really good. That would be a good option. We've got the inside. I could add this one. This one actually looks better. That looks better. This is how it looks when it folds up. That looks pretty good. I like that. I could do that for sure. The inside of that one is just a document, and you know, you could do that too. You could have that fold open like that. That's okay. I think I like the pink better, so I'm going to hold on to that one for the moment. I don't want to do ledger next to ledger. To me, it's just too ledgery. I want to spread apart my ledger a little bit. So we're going to not put ledger next to ledger. I could do this one. It has some blue. We have some blue here. I think that would be a really good spread. Now in the background, we have another bit of ledger and some document stamps. I could do it. The blue and the blue is good. We have coffee dyed in the middle. That's actually good too, because if we put this here, we don't add coffee dyed paper here. So I really kind of like that. That looks pretty good. If we stack it together and kind of separate it a little bit, that's the way it would lay. I think that looks pretty good there. I'm not sure I like it more than the pink. I think it looks pretty good though. This one is our next one. Again, okay. But then we come to this one. This one I think looks pretty good right there. We've got some red peeking out of the bottom. You could peek out a little bit more. We got some red. I think that looks pretty good. It opens. It opens. You have that. It's okay. You know, really honestly, it doesn't matter which one we pick there. They're all going to be beautiful. But for me, I think it is this one. I like the fact that this one is a lot different, right? It's a lot different. I like the fact that the pink matches the pink lines, still flows together nicely. That's what I'm going to choose for right there. And we're going to open it up again. And now we have this that we're focusing on. We're focusing on what looks good next to this. We can't put a digital there. Digitals plus digitals is a no-no. Can't do it. But we didn't add coffee dyed paper last time. We did not. We added a digital in here. We went digital, paper, paper, digital. Now we must add coffee dyed paper here to balance out our signature. You have 4 that you have to fit in there. We have to get it in. So we're going to put it there. But that's way too plain. There's not enough interest here. So we need to spice this up a little bit. There's hardly any color. You know, coffee dye, it's a color, but it's not really that vibrant. So we need to add in something, right? You could add this check here that adds a little bit of interest, right? You could add that. Obviously, I'm not going to add another document next to document. This adds some color and some interest, but it's too much like this, so not going to do that. Again, I don't want to do handwriting with handwriting. Not going to do it. These are all too similar to just coffee dyed color. I'm not going to do those either. It's too bland. You guessed it, too bland. This one's okay. It's not my favorite. It's okay, it adds color. It's not my favorite, but I could be convinced to do it. And then we have this one. This one's actually really nice, and I'll show you why I like it. So the botanical paper, it does have some it's kind of like almost a handwritten Latin name for the type of Florilegium. This is from Florilegium, the book. It does have Latin names for all the plants, and I like the fact that it's a little handwritten next to handwritten. It's not all handwritten, but it has a little tie-in, right? It flows beautifully. And this also is very neutral, right? Very neutral. So we're going to go like this with it. We're going to put it around our copy dyed paper. It looks very neutral. It's a nice place for your eye to rest. We're going to add a pocket here. We know we're adding a pocket here. That will give us color. Like if you just audition some that are already made, that will give us some color and some interest. Like I'm not saying these are the ones, but I'm saying if you added a pocket there, it would give it some color, and you're going to have a tag in there. That one's actually really quite nice with it. You'll put a tag. So say we'll put like the lady tag or something in there. So you can see it's okay. It's beautiful. So we're going to move on from there. I like the fact that this spread gives your eye a place to rest. It's not in your face. Valentine's red, 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 you know, it's a nice a calm spread. So we did that. We're here. We're going to just leave this just the way it is. We don't really need to add anything. Those look nice together. That's what we have. And we're going to open it up. And now we have a brand new blank canvas on the left side of coffee dyed paper. We know that we did coffee dye. We didn't do digital. So more than likely, we're going to add a digital in here. We have a whole big bunch of digitals still to fit in there. And we have used 3 digitals and we have 5 remaining. This might be a good section to add in that other Valentine's Day paper. It might be a good section. You might want to do that. You know, we have that on the other side. That's good too. It's a different colorway. So we might do that. The other thing that I didn't really talk about is choosing the paper, choosing the digital paper that you would like to see in your center spread. So we chose the paper that we wanted to see out here on the front of our signature, but we did not talk about or choose the paper that we want to see in the center. Like when our junk journal opens up and it's in the center, usually, you know, you can see both pages together, and it's important to kind of think about that and plan ahead for it so that you have the digital that you want in the middle. And of the digitals I have remaining, I know that my favorite one is this one. And so I'm going to set this one aside, and I'm going to plan to put this one in the center spread of my journal. I also like this one for the center spread because while you could add a pocket here, chances are you wouldn't. You wouldn't want to cover up that part, right? So this is a good option for center spread because there's really not a place on this paper that is begging for a pocket. So I'm going to choose this one for my center spread, which makes it out of the running to put here. Now we have these. I'm going to put that Valentine's Day one there, I think. That looks good. And I've got these other ones, contenders, but I think this one looks the best. It's really cute there. Now, I kind of want to break this up a little bit. It's kind of bland. It's not really interesting. There's no pages that are different size or anything like that. So I'm thinking maybe, you know, you put the music around that. Maybe that would be cute. Got a little bit of music in there. Open it up like that. I think that's pretty cute. I like it, but I'm wondering if maybe we need something around the music paper. Now, maybe you're going to put a pocket there, or maybe you're going to put some kind of other embellishment on that music paper, and that's okay too. But we have this little check, and I think I'm going to layer that check around that music paper. And that's going to give me something that looks like that. Now, the only thing that I see that I'm not super thrilled with are both of these papers ending at about the same point. Generally, I like it if I get a little bit more reveal like that. And nothing says I can't fold the end of this check in. So I'm just going to do it. It doesn't matter whether it becomes something else later or not. I just want to see that stair step effect. And I think that's what makes a signature look great, is you've got these different levels of paper there. So I chose this because I've got some red roses peeking out. It's got the red stamp on it. It still blends nice with the coffee dyed paper. So that's where we're at for that. We're going to leave all those exactly where they're at. And now we're focusing on this paper right here. So this one here, and we're going to choose something that looks good there. And this entire time, I've had this piece of vellum. And I knew that I wanted to use it next to something that was pink and that looked all, you know, frilly and girly and lovely. So I'm going to put this piece of vellum somewhere in this little spread that we're working on. Now, if you notice, we have not added in our bag, right? This little bag, we didn't add that in yet. We did not add in an envelope yet, and we did not add in any doily, whether we're going to use the heart one or the regular one. You could put a doily in here. You know, you could wrap this doily around this vellum and put that in there. That would look okay on that side. We know we're going to have a pocket on this side. Anytime you have a super plain paper like this, it's got background detail, it's got foreground detail, it's pretty, but it doesn't have a definite focal point. It doesn't have a picture of a woman. What do I have left here? It doesn't have a definite focal point. It's not decorated at the bottom part of the paper. A paper like this, you could put a pocket here, but why would you? Right? This one is decorated more towards the bottom of the paper, meaning probably don't put a pocket on this one. I might do a little collage work up here at the top corner, but I probably wouldn't do anything to the bottom. With this one right here, if you look at it, it's clearly void of decoration down here. And that's where you would add a pocket, right? If you look at your digital page, if you look at your digital pages, you should see a spot to put a pocket. And so when you're working in your journal, adding your pockets, try not to cover up, you know, something that's really pretty and decorative at the bottom paper. Try to find a paper that is more plain, more open, looks like it's missing a pocket. This one right here, missing a pocket. It's begging for a pocket right there. Same thing with this one. It's begging for a pocket right here. There's not really anything there. It's still decorative enough up on the top where if you put a pocket there, it's going to look good. I don't know if I have the perfect pocket, but you know, adding a pocket there, that looks pretty good. A tag and everything else on there. But if you look at this side of that paper, this side has a little bit more decoration. It's not saying that you can't add a pocket there, but it's saying that you don't have to because it's got something there, right? Something interesting is already there. But this side, while it's cute and you don't have to put a pocket, it kind of looks like it needs a pocket. So again, look at your digital papers. If it doesn't have a decorative element there, that's a good place for a pocket. Why is that important? Because when you build your signature, you generally don't want a pocket and a pocket facing each other, touching. Why? Because it's rubbing on the pocket. It's causing more friction. Pockets are just glued on with art glitter glue. There's tags and stuff stuffed inside of them. Generally, you don't want pocket facing pocket. So it's important when you're building your signature to look through your pages and see, like, you know, do I have a spot where I'm going to have to put a pocket and a pocket? No, I'm not going to put a pocket here, but I would put a pocket here. So just look through, make sure that you're not, you know, facing your pages where two pockets would touch each other. Now, you're not really putting two digitals to each other, so it's probably not that big of a deal. But anyway, we know we're putting a pocket here, so we're going to leave this side without a pocket. We're going to leave this side a little more plain. And in fact, I really like this. I really like the frilly doily with the frilly little embroidery pattern. So I'm going to leave it just like this. And I'm not going to worry about whether or not I decide to put this one in later. I'm just going to worry about using this one for now. I like that spread. Moving on. Now we have this, which is just a piece of pink vellum. Here, I could put a digital. I could put coffee dyed paper. I could layer up a lot of things. I've got quite a bit of digitals that are good options. There's a digital there that would look good, and you know you're putting a pocket there, but really there's only a piece of vellum between two pockets. So, you know, and I wouldn't put red there. So that's where we're at digital wise. I could put this piece of coffee dyed paper right in there. And that's okay. I could do it. It would flip over like that. You would have this vellum, and after the person did their handwriting in here and did their journaling, that vellum would be over top of their journaling. Basically, it would look something like this. And so you'd see the handwriting under it. And I think that would be cool. So I'm going to leave it, and I'm going to put the coffee dyed paper in there for somebody to journal on. And to me, it's still a little bit plain. I think we need to add a little something in there. Now we just added a doily, so I wouldn't add another add-in. I wouldn't do two add-ins next to each other like that. What I would do is just a little bit of book page. Let's do the dictionary one. I like the dictionary one because it's a little bit different size. And so sometimes I line my things up at the bottom where I'll put a paper like this, where it's even, this paper and this paper even across the bottom. And sometimes I put it in the center like that. And for this one, I kind of want it in the center. So I'm going to leave it like that. That's kind of what it looks like. Again, you got the dictionary behind it. Adds a little bit of interest. I'm going to leave it just like that. And now we're here. Now, I would normally say this was too plain to leave, but we do have this nice pink border around it. And it is okay to leave things where, you know, it's a little more plain. People can decorate. They can do their own junk journal decorating when they buy it. So that's okay to leave. You could go in, because we have that pink border, and add that paper sack right there. You could do that if you wanted. At least it has a paper separating it from back here where we added the doily. You could do that. I'm not going to, but you could. Moving on, we're going to open it up. I'm going to leave that just the way it is. Leaving it just like that. Open it up. Now we know we have to get a digital in here because we have coffee dyed paper. Anytime you have coffee dyed paper on the left, you know you're going to add a digital. What you add in between the coffee dye and the digital is up to you. But we're going to add in a digital. We just did a lot of pink, so I'm going to do this red one. Not a whole lot going on there, though. We're going to need to spice that up. It's a little too plain. If we don't do that one, we could do this one. And that has red in the inside, so let's do it. So it's coffee dyed to this, which is kind of plain. Ooh, this one has red in it too. So we would add a pocket right here. And it's far enough away from our other ledger that this ledger is okay. But I like this one because we have red. And this is a spot in the journal signature where I feel like, hey, we've done a lot of pastels. We need to add some of our Valentine's rosy reds in here. So I'm going to do this one here. And that was back to that paper. Going to do that right there. Love the way that looks. Now, here, we need to add some interest. We could do that. We could add some more book page around it. That's actually okay. We have book page over there, but it's a dictionary. It's a different kind of book page. I really like this combination. That would be okay. I don't want to do, you know, too much French ephemera on top of each other. I don't think that that looks good. It's okay, but I don't really think it looks the best. So I'm going to add this book page right here around that. Just like that. Now, if you notice, I'm covering up that. I'm covering up this beautiful red company name right there. So if I put them together evenly, they look like that. You could do a fold in. You could tear off a section of it. In this instance, all I'm really going to do is try to pop it to where I can see just a hint of it, and I'm going to leave it. So I'm going to leave it just like that. Now we have that for that spread. I'm okay. That's fine. We're going to leave that. We do have this craft colored envelope, and this guy needs to find a home. He'll end up being a pocket sewn into the signature, and you can put it in the signature like this with the little flap on the left, or you could flip it around and put it where the flap is in the back. It all depends on what you want to see wrapped around. So we could do it like this, where you have small, medium, large, right? And you know I like that stair step effect, so we could do that. That's okay. I think we will do that. So that's what we're going to do there. Now we have something really, really plain here. I can see my signature's getting really fluffy. It's very nice. Loving the way it's coming out. We have this paper, and that kind of flows nicely. This whole little section kind of flows nicely. So I think we're going to put this one in here. Just like that. The inside of this digital, the back side, is actually one of my copy dyed lace papers that I scanned. It's a digital that's in Etsy. It's called copy dyed lace paper. And again, it's additional journaling space. So we added in a whole nother paper for journaling. My signature is feeling really nice. I must stack it together. Feeling really nice. So we need to add some color here. It's pretty plain. We need to add some color. We need to add some interest. All we have left to use are these. This is it. That's it. And our center spread paper. This is our center spread paper, but we're leaving that to the very end. So all we have left to use are these. So we need to spice this up a little bit. I think this might be a little bit too bold right there. You could do it, but I think it's a little too bold. This is a digital. I don't really want to put coffee dye lace with coffee dye. I don't really want to do that. It's kind of too much coffee dyed for me. I don't want to do digital next to digital, although if I was going to, this would be acceptable because it's really coffee dyed paper. It's acting like coffee dyed paper. That might be the one and only instance I would do that. But honestly, we have this lovely handwriting, and I think that looks beautiful right there. So I'm going to do that one. We haven't done it. It's sitting here. Let's do that one right there. And it will be nice because the person will do some journaling here. Whoever buys this journal will do some journaling here. They could decide to add a pocket. And because this is the backside of a digital, I might put a pocket there, even though, you know, it's coffee dyed paper because it's a printed digital coffee dye paper. I might. But on this side, you can see, you know, you might want to add a pocket there. So there's that. I might put a pocket, might not. Let's open it up. Now we're focusing on this. What looks good here? We need color. We need color in a very bad way. I think this is really cute. I love that. I don't want to add the red and pink over it. I mean, you could, but I don't really think that looks the best. So I'm not gonna. I'm gonna leave that to the end. We're gonna do this digital paper. Now, I don't love that. It's okay, but I don't love it. We have handwriting. I don't love it. So this might be an instance where I might need to flip this guy around and see, well, do I like that better? It's better, I think. I think it's better. Maybe that plus that, because it's now we have red, you know? We could do the red in there. That's okay. Maybe we put this way high up at the top. Nah, don't love that. Maybe we scoot it all the way to the bottom. It's okay. I'm struggling with that one. It's okay. I think the best thing to do is to add in this last piece of coffee dyed paper right there. And this little book page that we have. And do that. I think that's the best thing for the supplies that we have left. Now, I could do this. I could tuck that in there. We could do that. It's really up to you. So I'm going to do it just because that's what we have left. We've used everything else. So now we really only have this. This is all we have left. And the reason why I chose to put this digital here is because I knew we were going to need coffee dyed paper in here. So we're going to do this, but we're going to add a little something. We could add that there. I don't love it. I don't hate it. It's okay. I'm going to choose this in the end. This is my original French document. And I'm going to do that. Again, this is pretty bland, but I like it. It's pretty enough. So I'm going to do that. This one is folded over up here on this corner. And I'm okay with the wrinkly, crinkly, whatever authentic look, but I would like to see the corner of it. So I'm going to unfold it. Now, could I still do that? You could. I'm not going to. I'm not going to put the red next to my pastels. That's my preference. So anyway, we are now all the way to where we would put our center spread paper, right? Because I have nothing left. The only thing I have left is this. We're to where we would put our center spread. It would go like this in the center. So it would fold like that. There we go. That's our center spread right here. It opens up like this. There's our center spread. Now, could you put this bag in the center? You could. That might be cute. You could sew that into the center. We didn't use it anywhere else yet, but I think we can probably flip back through this signature and find a better place for this. I think we could find a better place for it. So here's my signature. It's all assembled now. I'm tapping it on the table to line up all the pages at the bottom. If you want them all lined up at the bottom, you might want to stagger them or move them up. So now I'm going to go back through this signature quick. I'm going to try to find a home for that, right? That could be doable. I'm going to try to find a home for this bag, and I'm just going to make sure everything is where I want it. You could add it right here. It's kind of plain. Maybe we should just put it there. Doesn't really matter. The colors go. It's okay. We could add that there. If I don't find a better place, I'm going to leave it right like that. There's that one. There's this one. I really love the way that turned out. There's that. That's cute. There's no pink there. I don't want to add a pink bag there. That's cute. Cute. Now you could have added that pink bag there, and I think we talked about it. But because we just put the doily there, I didn't want to do two add-ins that close together. We did do our envelope here, and I'm happy with that. There's that. I love the colorway of that little spread. Love this. We'll add some pockets in there. Love that. That came out really nice. That was a really nice signature. Now, maybe I want something in between right here. Maybe I want a little extra paper or something just to kind of break this up, because it's exactly 8.5 by exactly 8.5 folded in half. So maybe I want to add one more thing in there. But other than that, my signature is complete and I love it. And I am going to leave my little paper bag up here in the front. So it's like that. So other than right here, this little page right here, I'm good. I'm done. I think it came out great. I could go in and steal this paper doily. I could go in and steal that paper doily and put that up here. That would look really nice there. And I kind of want to do it. But if I steal this paper doily, then I'm not as thrilled with that. It's okay. Maybe I could convince myself to do it. But see how this looks like. That's just cute. That's just cute there. So can I live with that? I probably can, because I'm going to stick a pocket over here. So I guess I'm going to move my paper doily. So I guess I have decided to move my paper doily out of the way, because I am going to have more decoration over here. This pocket actually looks good there too. That pocket has looked good every single place I have tried to put it. So I'm going to take my paper doily and move it to this location right here. Now my signature is complete. I am 100% happy with it. Love it. Here's how it's going to go in my journal. Now, the only thing that I would think of changing would be maybe some little book pages or something to layer into this. In this journal, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do my little stair step on the way into this journal. I'm going to leave it exactly like this because I really like the way that is going to look when you open up the journal. And we do have a fabric pocket over here. We can stick some additional folded up old ephemera in or something like that. So I'm going to leave my signature just like that. And I'm going to put it into this journal. Now, if you noticed, as we built our signature, something happened over here. This is called, in a book, this is called the foredge. So the foredge here, as you stack up all your papers, you can see that the first paper ends way over here, but the last paper in the center ends way out here. So in our cover, it will fit. It will fit if you sew it in. It will fit. It hangs out just a tiny bit. Some people would care. Some people would add lace to the edge to cover that up. For me, I like to trim down my pages. I don't like to leave them where they're going to maybe possibly get bumped and torn and whatever. So I, at this point, will trim down some of these pages that are sticking way, way, way out here. And here's how I do it. So I take my signature, and I'm sorry, the light is super bright in here, and I am not exactly sure why, because I've already turned it down. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to see the papers that stick out the farthest, and it's really these ones right here, specifically these ones. And so I'm going to go into my journal, I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to slide that section, that whole entire section. I'm not disassembling. I'm just taking that whole section out, and I'm going to trim down that section. And I'm going to open up where that section goes right there and leave my book open. Now I'm going to take this little signature, and we're going to trim all of these pages. And so you just want to make sure you thumb through. Like this one is folded, but it's so far back that we're not going to be in danger of trimming that. Same thing, we're not going to hit that edge. So we're good. We don't have any folded pages. Basically, you're just checking to make sure if you cut right here, you're not going to cut open a pocket or cut open a flip out that you've spent time doing. So we're going to cut that part of our little signature. All right, here we go. We're going to take that part. Now I'm going to trim one. I'm going to trim one. I'm going to trim two. I'm going to trim three. I'm going to trim 4 pages. This trimmer should cut through 4 sheets of paper. If it doesn't, it's going to be a nightmare. Because I'm live and I don't want to deal with a nightmare, I'm going to trim him in just 2 pages at a time. Because I don't want a nightmare on my hands. So we're going to put 2 pages in there and trim them. And when you're trimming them, you're really, like, I line it up to 5 1/4 because the paper is 5 1/2 now, and I'm going to trim a 1/4 inch off. So I'm going to trim 1/4 inch off of my paper, just like that. This is what I trimmed. These little strips here. Can't get them out, but that's what I trimmed. So anyway, I'm going to open that back up. I'm going to put that back in my journal. And I've got the other half because I was too much of a chicken to do it live on camera with you at 4 pages at a time. So anyway, we're going to trim the other one. I'm going to line it up at 5 1/4, and I'm going to slide it and trim it. Okay. So there's that. I'm ready to sew my signature in my journal. I've reassembled it. I put it back together. You can see that here's the top paper now. And we have some sticking out. Some sticking out is okay, but it's been trimmed 1/4 inch. And so now when you put it in your junk journal cover, you have enough junk journal cover that your paper are not, it's not sticking out too far. It's not in danger of getting folded or crumpled or torn or anything else. And so this is about where our signature is going to go, something in this area. And you can see that we have cover all the way. That's my scoop back. We have cover all the way on the edge. So as long as your cover sticks out further than your papers, you're good to go. So there's that. Okay. Before you sew in your signature, you want to ask yourself a couple of questions, because we could just rush and we could just sew this in. And believe me, I want to, because my favorite part is having that sewn in and done. But if you are the type of person that prefers to work in a journal 1 page at a time, you want to make one, you want to decorate this 1 page at a time. Maybe you want to make a pocket specifically for this paper. If your brain works like that, if your creativity works where you need to decorate each page, then do it before you sew your signature in. That way, you can take apart your signature and you can just do some collaging. You could make your pocket. You could do some stamping. You could do some mixed media sprays or texture paste or stenciling or whatever you want to do. My brain does not work like that. My brain likes to work where I've sewn my signature in and I'm just making all my ephemera and then I'm placing my ephemera in my journal. My brain does not work like it needs to do every single page one at a time. It just doesn't. You do you. So for me, I'm ready to sew it in. But if you want to sew, if you want to literally take a page to the sewing machine and sew like a ruffle down the edge of it, if you want to sew some decorative stitches, or you want to, do mixed media paste or whatever, it's far better to do those kinds of things before you sew your signature in. So this is just for a different brain people. There's some of us that like to do it while it's bound in a book, and there's some of us that don't. So before you rush to sew in your signature, I guess give that some thought. My signature is ready to go. I'm going to take my signature and I'm squishing it here and I'm squishing it here and I'm making sure everything is lined up, and I'm pushing it in the center with my thumbs and then folding it nicely, placing it one final time in there, making sure that it's all good. It is all good. Okay, let's sew this guy in. This is my journal sewing in supplies. I have a pair of needle nose pliers. Why? Because sometimes, especially fabric covered covers, you need some help pulling that needle through your cover, and this is really great to help you. It hurts your fingers sometimes to pull those through. Needle nose pliers will grab it and will pull that needle through. It's also great if you want to put book corners on the edges of your cover. You don't need to using my method of doing corners, but needle nose pliers also good for that. So those are always here. This little needle yep. This little needle keeper is from Hobby Lobby, and it's just a little wooden one that has my binding needles in it. It has different sizes because that's what Amazon had, but really I always use the smallest, thinnest needle. And that's just so that it's easier to get through the holes, and I have to poke a smaller hole. When poking your holes for your journal signature, you want to poke the smallest hole that you can, because the larger the hole in your pages, the more likely that they could be a loose signature or, kind of wiggle in your journal. So use the smallest needle that you can get away with using. Everybody is different. Some people need a larger needle because they need to be able to see the eye, or it's easier to get the thread through. You use what you're comfortable with, but try using the smallest that you can. It's better that way for your signature anyway, to be more sturdy. In here, there is a pokey tool that is being difficult. It was stuck out. So here's my pokey tool. Again, this is a really cheap little pokey tool, otherwise known as an awl, for those of you who get mad when I call it a pokey tool. This is a large spool and it is off-white. It is not truly white. I need to bring the brightness down. I'm so sorry. Camera. We can't have all of this brightness right now. We can't. You need to bring it down a little bit. So I use waxed linen thread. I just have a large spool of it. It's an off-white color. If I hold it up next to something that is white, you guys can't really tell, but it's an off-white color. And so I'm going to use that. It's wax linen. I have some clips, some jumbo binder clips if I want to clip my signature. And I have a bookbinding cradle. This is a 3D printed bookbinding cradle. You can find them a lot of places now. So let's go ahead and usually I don't get my needle out just quite yet, but I did. So anyway, we're going to use our cradle. Now, if you don't have a cradle, you can do the same exact thing I'm going to do, but you're going to poke down into like a piece of foam or a piece of cardboard that is just from like your recycling or an old book that you just want to stab holes into. You need something that you can actually poke the awl down into without damaging like your desk or poking yourself in the hand. So really the job of a book cradle is just to hold it while you poke holes. Do you need a book cradle? No, you don't. Anything will work, like cardboard. So for me, I have one. I bought it years and years ago. So we're just going to use it. It does make my job a little bit easier, I think, but it's not a necessity. So first of all, you want to make sure that your signature is face the right direction. Like it's directional. I've got words here. Nothing is worse than sewing your signature in like upside down. Now, for me, you can't really tell that's upside down until you start looking at it. Right? So some people might sew it in this way and go, oh no, I sewed it in upside down. Pretty much like all junk journal makers have sewn one in upside down. If it happens, just cut it out and do it over again. So I have my roses are going the right direction on both pages. That's the way I'm going to put it in there. Again, I'm going to squish it together. I'm going to squish it together. I'm going to line it up. I'm going to place it exactly where I want it. I've got some misbehaving pages right now. I'm going to line them up a little bit better. I'm going to open up that signature. I'm going to put my thumbs in there, squish it, squish it. Now I'm going to grab my cover. I'm going to layer my signature in there, get it exactly where I want it. Squishing it in with my thumbs, putting it into my book cradle, not letting it go, just holding it down in there. I want to make sure that I have enough space where my signature isn't overhanging in any one location. I have a little bit more space on the top than I do the bottom. So I'm going to pick up the whole thing and just move it just a little bit up, just a little up. There we go. Now it is perfect. I'm holding it together. This is where your clips come in. And you just clip it on there. And clip it on there. Now you can unfold them or you can leave them up. It doesn't really matter whether you unfold the sides or not. It's really personal preference. Some people like it. Some people don't. Some people say it gets in the way. Whatever. But anyway, I have not let go of the center the entire time. Here, you're looking to make sure you don't have any bubbles. Your papers should not be bubbling. Like this one has a little bit of a bubble right there. See that bubble? You want to make sure that there's no bubble. If you have a bubble, remove your clip, push those papers flat, and then reclip. Now I do not have any bubble there. No bubble. This one does not have any bubble here. It's smooth and flat. Okay. From here, now I have a lace pocket sewn into my cover. I have a lace pocket. You wanted to make sure before you put your signature in that your lace pocket is smooth and straight and it isn't pulled down or wrinkled in any weird way or anything like that. We're going to trust that mine isn't at this point. And I'm just going to hold that signature in there with my fingers I'm going to take that pokey tool and we're going to do a 5-hole pamphlet stitch. So we're going to poke 5 holes in here. Do we need to measure them? Do we need to make a template? No, we don't. We don't really care. We're just poking 5 holes. Generally, I like to aim for a rough, roughly in the center. So we're going to roughly in the center right there. Now I'm going to just pick that up and I'm going to do about 1 inch in. About 1 inch in right there. That's roughly an inch. That's good. Now I'm going to do, there's my 1 inch hole. There's my center. I'm going to split the distance between those two. Does it need to be measured? No. Do you need to do it exact? No. Just poke it roughly in the middle of those 2 holes. So we have 1, we have 2, we have 3. Now we're going to come down here and we're going to do about 1 inch in. About 1 inch in. There's 4. That's 4 holes. We need 1 more. So you're going to go, the center hole is there. The 1 inch hole is right there. We're going to split the distance somewhere around there. And we're going to poke that hole. Now, I've poked 5 holes. I'm going to take the awl out. I'm going to put the awl back in that center hole. I'm going to push it down in there. And I'm going to leave it in and pick up my book. You can see that I'm done with my cradle and my awl is sticking out right there in my center. So the center right there, I left that all in there because it holds everything together when I picked it up out of my journal cradle. But also, because I have fabric, and I know this is a thick fabric, I'm going to need to make these holes just a little bit wider. And I can't really go that deep in my bookbinding cradle, which is one of the reasons why I think that you could do without buying it. You don't have to buy it, because you end up coming down here and doing this work anyway by hand without the bookbinding cradle. So other than the initial hole placement, it doesn't really do a lot for you. So anyway, I'm now widening these holes, and I'm not making them jumbo, but I am making them a little bit wider so that I can sew my signature in a little bit easier. So now I have all 5 double poked, if you will. And we're going to leave that all in there, and we're going to set that to the side. And we're going to take our needle and our thread, and I'm going to do 1 length of my cover. From here to there, 1 length. There's 2 lengths. There's 3 lengths. And I'm going to do 1/2 more. So 3.5. Now, do I need to be precise? No, I don't. In fact, I usually leave myself a lot of extra because I want to sew beads and charms onto the bottom of my signature strings. And because this stuff is very inexpensive, I would much rather have extra to play with or whatever at the end than not have enough. So I do 3.5 plus a little. If you do 4, you'll be perfect. So anyway, 3.5 plus a little. Let me get some water, sorry. The wonderful thing about waxed linen thread is that it's super easy for even blind people like myself to be able to thread it through that hole. I say that and then instantly it doesn't work. It helps if I actually see it. Like, I know that camera's over there, but I need to see it. So anyway, now I've got it threaded through the eye of my needle, just like that. And you just bend it over right like that at the top, and it stays pretty much there. You don't really have to worry about it. Now, you don't, for those new people, you don't tie a knot at the end of your string. Like for people who are used to sewing, hand sewing, you're used to tying a knot. You don't tie a knot at the end of your signature string. You just leave it, and you're going to start sewing just like this. All right, so does anybody have any questions? We're at the 2-hour mark. I'm going to sew the signature in. While I'm sewing the signature in, if you have any questions for me, go ahead and type them in all caps, and about junk journal making, about this journal. If you have any questions, go ahead and type them in all caps and I will answer you. So I've got my needle. I've got my awl in. I'm going to pop that awl out. I'm keeping it handy. I'm taking my needle and I'm going to put it inside and I'm going to put it through the center hole, just like that. So I went down through the center hole to the outside back of the cover, and I'm going to pull that string out quite a ways, and I'm going to pick up the tail. This is the tail, the one without the needle. And I'm going to pull that until that tail is hanging out down here at the bottom. About like that. I've got this much tail hanging. I don't know what that is, like 6 inches. Yeah, so about a 6-inch tail. And I'm going to hold that tail on the inside with my thumb. So this is my tail string here, and I'm just holding it with my thumb. And that's putting a little bit of pressure on it so that I can pull the string tight, okay? So we went through the center to the outside there. Now I'm going to just go up one hole, right like that, and go through, pick up my needle. There it is. Not loop your thread. And as I'm sewing it, again, I'm holding that tail on the inside with my thumb, and I'm pulling my thread as tight as I can right there. I'm not super stressed about it. Now I'm at the top hole and I'm going from the inside to the outside, just like that. And again, at this point, I will pull my strings tight, and I'll tell you why. It's because for a 5-hole pamphlet stitch, we have to now go back through. We have to go back through this hole, one that we already put a string in. And so now there's something else in there. It's harder to fit a whole nother string through the one hole. So you need to pull that string tight. And then when you go through the hole this time, you want to try to angle the needle a little bit away from your string that's already there. There we go. And we're going back through that hole, just like that. And so now we're on the inside. Now you would think that you would go back through your center hole because it's logical to step down, right? But you don't. You skip the center hole this time. And you're going to go down to the next hole down there. So pull them tight. You want to keep your strings tight the whole time. And now you're going from the inside out that hole there. Right like that. Pull it tight, keeping everything tight the whole entire time. And now you have one final hole down here at the bottom. I have some string. One final hole down here at the bottom that you need to go through. And that's right there. You don't want to poke your thumb on the inside, so get it out of the way. This one, there we go. And we're through. There we go. Now pull it tight again. Make sure that you have enough of a tail to do whatever charms or whatever you want there. I'm going to pull that tight. I'm going to pull all of my strings tight. And now we're on the inside. And we have to go from the inside back out this hole right here. Not the center one, but the one down from the center. If you look, there's a piece of string missing here. That's why you know you have to come back up. And you have to go back through that hole. Again, try to angle it so that you're not hitting your signature string. Back through the hole. And now here's where we finally go back to the inside of our journal. Right here. So we're going to hold that tight. Everything is pulled tight. We're going to go right back through. And again, I'm angling it and I'm hoping not to hit that signature string. Hoping not to hit it. Still hoping not to hit it. We're going to get it. Wiggle, wiggle. That's always the hardest one for me, especially when I'm trying to do it on camera. Let me move it off camera so I can see what I'm doing. Still working on it. So I've got a little bit of velvet bunched there. There we go. We did it. And now back through. And at this point, you want to pull the strings tight. You could take the needle off, but before I take the needle off, I just want to look at it, make sure everything is good. You should see 4 sections of string on the outside. Everything is good there. Everything is good on the inside. And now I can take that needle off. And then I put the needle right away into this. Otherwise, it ends up getting lost in paper on my desk and thrown away. So that's why I bought that. Again, they're Hobby Lobby for like $2.99. So now I've got my signature strings on the inside. They're coming out of the center. The only other thing that you need to worry about is you want to have, see how there's 2 tails coming out from right here? You want to have your tails, one be on one side of that center section of string and one be on the other. They were both on the same, so I'm just going to thread one to the other side like that. So now, if you look in the center, I've got a string and I've got one of my tails coming off each side of it. And so people do this differently. I like to take the clips off now. I have not tied a knot. I have not tied a knot deliberately. I like to take the clips off, let the pages fall how the pages fall, and then pick up my strings. And I like to pull them nice and snug. And right here is where I like to tie the knot. If you tie the knot with the clips on, there is a possibility that your signature will not get as tight as it will if you take the clips off before you tie it. You also notice that I tied 3 knots. I went around 3 times, and I like to do the larger knot right there. We're going to add some beads and charms to the ends of these. This is how long they ended up being. Again, it's probably 6 inches, which is a good length because I want to do beads and charms. So anyway, my signature is sewn in. My journal is nearly complete, really, at this point. We have a nice signature in there. I've got built-in lace pockets. Everything flows beautifully together. There we go. I mean, it really is a nice signature. And notice how as you flip through, when you grab the edge of it, notice how those little pages add so much more interest than if everything was exactly the same size all the time. That's why those little short book pages make all the difference when building out a signature. It's so much more interesting to flip through. You have a lot more options for decorating. There's not like, digital next to digital. It's really a nice signature. I'm really happy with it. I think it came out beautifully. Everything is good. We're all sewn in. We've got everything in the right place. We're good to go. So, we can move on now. If you look at my signature, now that it's in my journal, my spine, is perfect. We're going to add a lot of ephemera, which is going to bulk it up. Now I am going to put lace down the center, down my spine. I'm going to add lace there, but I'm going to add that lace to cover my signature strings when I decorate my front cover. So that lace and the front cover will all be done at the same time. If you add lace now, generally, I think that it looks choppy. If you add lace and then decorate, it looks kind of choppy. At least mine does. I like to do the 2 together to make sure that the lace I choose here flows. It's not, too far, over to the left, over to the right. It's not too wide. I just like to do it all in one step. So we're going to add that lace and decorate that front cover. Probably in video number 4 or in class number 4. The rest of today, we're going to make some pockets because that's the stage we're at. We're at the stage where we need to start making pockets to decorate our pages, to add, places to tuck ephemera, whatever. So here's the formula. We talked about this before. I'll talk about it quickly again. We did roughly 15, no more than 15, 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper. It broke down by 8 printed digitals, 4 coffee dyed papers, and then I used whatever was remaining space for these small little thin papers. So I didn't use all 15. I actually only used 12, but I had a lot of smaller little papers. So that's how I got to no more than 15. Now, as I flip through here, if I go to my center spread, I can't find it, but wherever it is in here, here it is. But if I go to my center spread, you're like, oh, that's kind of plain. Well, I want to clip ephemera with paper clips in here. There will be some added interest, right? I specifically chose some things to add some interest in here. This is a green envelope. We've got that same color green over there. Kind of looks blue on camera, but it is green. So I'm going to fold up and clip up some, you know, some antique French ephemera. I might clip in some tags, something like that, some journal cards, but I'm going to paper clip in here, and that's going to decorate out this. Plus we'll have beads and charms on the signature strings. But the next thing we need to worry about is how many pockets do we make? Where do we put the pockets? This right here, the center spread, this is your first half of your signature. This is your second half. The first half of your signature from your center to the first page, you want to put about 6 pockets in. I usually put no less than 6. I could put 8 or 9, but 6 is a really good rule. So you want to thumb through your pages and you want to find 6 locations, the 6 locations that look the best with a pocket. So you want to think about, okay, well, I could put a pocket here. I'm not covering up, like here's obviously the focal point. I'm not covering up a focal point if I put a pocket here. So you want to find 6 places for pockets. I don't really want to put a pocket here. We talked about that. This, absolutely, you could put a pocket there. You could put one here. I probably wouldn't. Definitely putting a pocket here. So you want to find 6 places that you're going to put a pocket. Now, do you need to find those right this second? Like definitely a pocket here. No, you don't. But when you make pockets, you're aiming to make 6 for the front half of your signature. 6 pockets or tucks. Basically, when I say pocket, it's anything that you can put something else in. It could be a pocket. It could be a tuck. It could be some kind of paper clipped thing, you know, decorative element, a belly band. You're looking for 6 basically places to put things. Pockets to put things in, tucks to put things in. A belly band would go in a pocket category, right? Because it's something you tuck something underneath, right? So anyway, you're looking for 6 in the front and you're looking for 6 more in the back for a total of 12 pockets, tucks, belly bands, whatever combination of that, right? So 6 and 6. No other 6, just 6 and 6. Okay? And then you should have a total of 12 pockets in your junk journal. Now, I already have lace pockets right here in the cover. That's not including those, right? Those don't count. Whatever pockets are inside of your cover, they're not in your signature, so they don't count, right? So 12 pockets are what we need. We already have for this journal specifically. We already have, let me clean up my mess. We want to have 6 in the front, 6 in the back. I need 12 total pockets. I need, put that back in there, or else I poke myself. Or that back in there. Those. I don't know how this goes. It goes like this. It goes like this. There we go. Better. All right, so 6 pockets. We already have for this journal series. I made 3 out of music cards. So I don't put, if I have 2 pockets that look the same, that are made the same technique, I don't put them in there. I will only choose one of these pockets because they're all very similar. I will only choose one for this journal because I'm making 3 journals. So I have 3 of the same kind of pocket. So one of these will go in there. Okay, so that's 1. Now I need 11 more. That seems like a lot. I also made these out of masterboard. Now I could use 2 of the masterboard ones because they're pretty different, right? I'm not opposed to using 2 masterboard, but I wouldn't use more than 2 masterboard pockets. So 1 or 2 of these will go in there. that really means I need 9 or 10 more pockets. In the junk journal kit that you got a lot of things that already are pockets or could be used to make pockets, or maybe need a little more embellishing to become a pocket. My little ephemera. Let's look at the journal kit real quick and see what is in there that we can play with to make some pockets. So here is a journal kit. Now I've already taken pieces out of this to make my journal with. So it's not a full kit, but it'll show you a lot of stuff that's still, you know, that we can play with to make a pocket. The physical junk journal kit that is still available if you text me, that's what we're looking at now. So you see it comes with all the digitals, all the ephemera, all of that kind of stuff is already here. Now I've already used some, so it's not the whole pack, but it's a lot of it. We have these envelopes, and I will be doing, I promise, a 365 video where we're going to make a specific project with those. So again, just like Christmas, I'm keeping them to the side. It does come with some tags for you to decorate. This guy right here, this is a little folded greeting card that I put in your kit. And this one I'm going to turn into a tuck pocket. So a tuck pocket. So this is a very simple, very quick make pocket that will get us from, we needed 9 or 10 more, so we'll need 8 or 9 more, right? So pull out the little greeting card. Now you could have sewn this in your signature if you wanted to, but I'm going to make a pocket out of it. So I'm going to keep that to the side. Here's another pocket. And we're going to decorate and make that one. So that's another pocket. This is also a pocket. Now, this can be a standalone pocket, or you could take this pocket and attach it to, there's a larger tag in here somewhere. You could attach it to another piece to decorate it, right? Doesn't have to be a standalone pocket, but that's another pocket, okay? Another tag. Here's your bag of beads and charms and things like that that came. Your paper clips are in there. These napkins are for decoupage. We will be making some tags either tonight or next class with those napkins. This is a glassine bag that came in your kit. This is a pocket. We're going to decorate this. So there's that. Quick and easy pocket. These were the add-ins that I put in my signature. So those are included in your kit. A library card and a pocket. So again, that's a pocket. We're going to put the pocket over there. This is the large tag that I was saying. You almost could take this and put a pocket onto a tag if you wanted and make a cute little piece. A large tag like this can also be put on a journal page as a tuck. So if you find you've got a really heavily decorated journal page, don't know if I have one. I wouldn't cover her up, but you could, right? A really heavily decorated journal page. I'm drawing a blank. Like, you know, you'd put on your tag, right? And your tag could be a tuck back here. If you glued this side and you glued the bottom, your large tag could also act as a tuck, and you could put a little pocket on that side that you could either put your library card down in. It will fit in there. So see how we can repurpose these things into different ways. A tag can also be a tuck. So there's that. Put that back in the pocket category. There we go. Now here were the doilies. Those were included in your kit. The book pages were included in your kit, some different ones. The Florentine paper in your kit. This is the French ledger from your kit. That's from your kit. I gave you copy dyed papers in your kit. There's a couple of those. There was music paper, and now we're to these. This could be a tuck pocket. I think I'm going to make mine a tuck pocket, or you could layer up a bunch of the laces that came and put that on your front cover also. So it depends on what style you want, but I'm going to put it in the tuck possible category for now. It could just be a journal card that you tuck in a belly band as well. There were a bunch of small, really cute little vintage, like, look how cute they are. They're super little cute. There were a bunch of those. One to emboss, a couple little ones there. Another one of those cute little guys. So those are just little ephemera pieces to tuck into some of the ones we do in the 365 video that require a little tag here or there. That's what those are for. These are the laces that were included in your kit. And this one is the one that's going to go down the center spine. This one will go like that over the center spine. And then I will have my focal point over here. You can see how that's going to look. So there's that. Okay, so we found some pockets. We found some pockets in this kit. I'm going to put this back away and we're going to play with our pockets. So get that guy to go neatly back in his bag. There's that. All right, moving on. We need to make some of this, because we have about half an hour left. We need to make some of this into pockets. The easiest thing is the tuck pocket, because honestly, you could clip the corner or you could not clip the corner. I'm going to cut mine apart. I'm going to cut off the back part because that's a really great, like it's not white, it's actually kind of vintagey looking. That's a really great base to do some collaging and make a journal card on this side. So I'm going to get a journal card and a tuck pocket out of this one greeting card. You could also make this up as a little mini journal and tuck the mini journal into a pocket into your big journal. So there's lots of options you can do with that little guy. I'm going to make it a tuck pocket. I'm going to decorate this glassine bag for a pocket. And maybe that's as far as we're going to get tonight. We have some other quick little pocket options. But for tonight, I think we can get to these in the next 20 minutes. Let's go ahead and trim off this. We just want to trim it as close to that line as we can. Just making sure. There we go. So now I've got my tuck pocket and I've got a journal card back. That's what I got. Okay. Now you could have made this a journal card and it could go in your glassine bag. You could do that. That'd be okay. Let's do some inking on, I mean, simple tuck pocket, like literally inked and done. There's one pocket. Now, you could hand make all 12 pockets and this journal could take you like a month or two to build, but it's already, middle of February and we have another journal kit that comes out for March. So this is a pocket. I'm good with it. It's going to look beautiful in my journal. As a matter of fact, we're going to find a place and we're going to put this little guy, we're not going to glue it, but we're going to find a place. Like any little tuck place would work, just fine. I don't want to put it on my coffee dyed paper, but I could put it over there. I kind of like it because of the blue and the blue. And yeah, I'm covering up something, but not too much. I can still see those roses there. That's actually a really good place for this one because I don't want to put a pocket here. So I'm actually really happy with that as a tuck pocket right there. And I would just glue down this side and across the bottom. And then I could tuck in, whatever kind of ephemera I wanted to tuck back there. So there's a tuck pocket. Done. Boom. Now we need a glassine bag. I'm sorry. I know you guys are like, what? That was ridiculously silly. But honestly, some people need me to show them that. So everyone starts somewhere, right? We're going to decorate this guy up because we have a few moments. Sitting off to the side, I have some little bits of music paper. Let's go ahead and use that. I have some leftover papers from our masterboard making session. So I have those if I want to do some more collage like that. I've got a little piece of red doily. So we could layer up that in there. This is all just scraps that are sitting in a bin. It's unplanned. So whatever we end up with is what we end up with. I don't know what it's going to be. These are all scraps from last time we had a little class together. I have hiccups now. This is all scraps from last time we had a class together. So let's see what we can come up with scraps here. I am going to tear this music paper and I'm going to put part of it on here. That looks good. I want a torn edge over here, but I want to make sure that I don't tear off anything that I care about. So I'm going to give it a little fold back and forth. And I'm going to attempt to tear it nicely. Now, when you collage things, the rule of thumb is that you work in odd numbers. So you don't really want to put 2 things down. You really want to put 3 or 5, right? You want to work in odd numbers, not even numbers. So odds are good. And we're going to use Oohoo glue stick to do this today. Assuming I have a piece of baker's paper, parchment paper, something like that in here. Somewhere I do have one so that I can glue on it. Well, there is one somewhere. There is one somewhere in here. Here's one. Okay. Just don't want to glue on my desk. I'll use this one off camera because it is white and you guys can't see it. I will use the blue one. It's the most simple pocket ever, but it's something that sometimes people don't think about. Now, if you want to take that simple pocket a little bit further, maybe you do a little collaging or a little washi tape, little embellishment, or you put a tiny little cluster somewhere on it to decorate it up a little bit more. But honestly, we got to have some simple pockets in these journals. If you know my journals, you know that I normally decorate every single thing to the nth degree. It's okay to have some simple quick make pockets. We're going to glue this music paper on here. That's going to be our first layer. Remember, we're going for 3 or 5. Again, if you're really into it and you have all these things that just look beautiful together, maybe you put 5 on here, but maybe 3 is enough. You won't know till you start collaging. So we're going to take that little baggie and you could go all the way to the top corner. I'm going to bring it down just a little bit. I also am not concerned if some of the glassine bag shows through to the other side. I'm good with that. So I'm just going to press this down, make sure it's all making contact. And then I'm going to fold that up right there. Again, I don't care if it covers all of the glassine bag or some of the glassine bag is showing. I don't care. This is a great little bit to use as a label later on somewhere. So I'm going to set that one over to the side. That's what we have now. We need a little more color, a little more pattern, a little more something. We could do that. I could just put a rose on there. I could layer up some of these little, it's just little junk bits that were sitting over there off to the side. And we could put a bird on it. It's okay. I could do like butterfly roses somehow on there. I could probably make that work if I fought with it. Let's take this red. I'm looking for another focal point. I need some more focal points. These are all flowers in here. And in the bottom, I think most of these ones are like Anna Griffin. I'm not sure. But in the bottom, I have a pile of German scrap. And many of you guys have German scrap coming because we packed your boxes today. So I know many of you guys have German scrap coming. So there's a beautiful red rose. Now I don't like the red on the red without something in between, but that beautiful red rose is pretty good for our theme. So sometime if you get German scrap, you just want to sit down and you just want to cut out all the little pieces and have them ready to go. There's a little butterfly we could even put on there. But just cut them all out. And that's not really like fussy cutting. It's not the same thing. You're just snipping little bits and pieces. and these are just falling everywhere. But this is German scrap, right? I just cut it all out, and now it's ready to go. It's easy to decorate with. And I just keep a big bag of flowers ready to go because, you know, we use a million flowers. So there's that. Okay. This is a really good size flower too. And you know, I have to make 3 of these. I'm not going to make 3 with you on camera, but you know, I have to make 3. So here's a little bit of that was left over. I do like the red, but we need something else in there. We need something else in there. What if we did a little bit of that? Can't do that with that. I could do something with this combination. I won't leave the fleur-de-lis as a square, but that would be an okay combination. Now my focal point looks a little small. Sorry, I'm kind of all over the place. My focal point looks a little small on that bag, so I think we would need to do a little bit more layering. Something where we're kind of building up that focal point a little bit more. I'm happy with that combination. That looks good. I do have a little tiny bit of, it's a heart doily. It's this one. It's this one here. And it comes in your kit, and I just tore it apart. So that's where this little section comes from. Now maybe we could tuck this somewhere else in here to, like, you know, work with the collage. Because remember, it's either 3 pieces or it's 5 pieces. It's not 2, it's not 4, and it's not 6. It's either 3 or 5. Why? Because that's what looks good. Now, is there times, rare times, where even number of things look good? Yes, but it is rare. So I like that. That combination's not bad. It kind of made a small focal point because my rose is pretty small compared to my overall size. The more you layer underneath, it made my rose focal point kind of build up where it now doesn't look too small. How many pieces do we have? We have music. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 6. That's either 1 too many or 1 not enough. What I would suggest if you end up with 6 is add like another little butterfly, another little something. You could come in here and do a little bit of washi tape. One of my favorites when I have an even number, and you know, I don't want to have an even number. One of my favorites is that, and somebody will yell at me right now, but that's a really good option to add one more tiny little element, or like one of Tim Holtz's his little number labels, something like that. So I'm going to go with this combination, but we will need to add one small element so I don't end up with 6. Okay, let's glue it, unless I'm counting wrong, but let's glue this. You like my little combination? I don't know what is up with the lighting today, but the lighting is pretty terrible. Now I have some pretty good straight edges. I'm about 50-50 of whether I like it or not. In this case, because we also have square edges here and here, and we have some random other torn pieces, I think I can live with it. Do I want to ink anything? I don't want to ink anything, but you might, because some people are, you know, some people are really into inking. I'm not so much into inking. So, I mean, I ink where necessary, but I don't want to over ink. So really, I just kind of leave that where it was. I'm going to add some glue there. Decorating glassine bags are quick and easy little projects. They really come out looking like more than a decorated glassine bag. I think glassine bags are like one of the hidden gems of junk journaling. You get a big pocket that can hold a really nice size tag or journal card, and it didn't take you 15 hours to make it. So I like that fact. Now, I don't know that this piece is straight or whatever, but we're going to stick it on there. So we're just going to glue up this whole thing. Now, if I'm gluing thin paper always gets glue stick, right? Thin paper always gets glue stick. Cardstock always gets art glitter glue. That's the rule. Fabric always gets Fabri-Tac. Lace always gets Fabri-Tac. So we're going to put that slightly off center, and I think it was down a little. I'm kind of off of where I used to be, but that's okay. It'll all come together in the end. And then these two pieces are Tim Holtz, and they are cardstock. Now the Tim Holtz things, I will take a tiny little bit of ink and go around the edge, and that's only because they're cardstock. And the thin paper white line won't bother me, but the cardstock white line will bother me. So I just get rid of it only because it's thicker and you can see the edge. So from there, we're going to use art glitter, and we're going to layer these up. I don't remember if it was like that or if it was like, I think we're going to do that so that I see the ticket. My art glitter has a little clog in it. That will be fun later. It gets like the strings. You guys know if you know, right? Okay. So there it is. It's art glittered. It's extra art glittered. And we're just going to guess. I'm just going to guess where that belongs. I mean, once it's there, it's there. So, okay. I think we're straight now. And then we're going to put this one on. Do I need to use as much? No, but you guys know I like to overbuild my things. Let's slide that way over there. Maybe. Okay. There's that one. Now this is embossed. So you could use art glitter. I think art glitter is best because it will eat up your glue stick. So I'm going to use art glitter, even though it's thin, but because it's embossed. So embossed paper would also get art glitter. Okay, guys, questions? Anybody questions? You want to talk about selling journals? You want to talk about pricing journals? Anybody questions? Holds postcards well. The glassine bags do hold postcards well. Yes, they do. So I need to get that positioned where I'm happy. There we go. So there's that for now. I have a pretty good straight edge here. I tried to pull this over just a tad bit. Couldn't get it before the art glitter stuck. But I'm pretty happy with that. I got a little piece of extra little paper hanging off. And I don't want to tear it because then it's too straight. So I think that's okay. It's all right. It's not like magical work, but it's okay. Now, you want to stick your hand in there and make sure you didn't glue your bag closed, right? Nothing's worse than doing that. And then do we want to add, because we need one more element. We need to add one more little thing to this. It's either that or a little number. Now we have two other Tim Holtz elements. Maybe we don't need a little number, but I could do like some kind of other little label over here down at the bottom. It says September the 15th, and you know, this is a February junk journal, so I don't really want it to say September. It's a different color label. I'm looking in my bin of junk. Bin of junk. There's a couple more of these. That one's okay. That's all right. I like putting it down here because I'm trying to push the eye over there just a little bit. Alternatively, I guess I could do something up there. Washi tape would be good on this project. I think we're going to do that one, and I think we're going to do it up at the top. So this is Tim Holtz. It has cardstock. See how you can see that white edge of the cardstock? That's why, I mean, I'm not trying to ink it. I don't want it to look like framed. I just don't want to see that white cardstock. So I just ran that over it. And we're going to put this on there. And now we have a glassine decorated bag. Decorated glassine bag. Yep. It's 7:45. How late is it for you guys? Yes, pricing and selling journals. Okay. Do you have specific questions, or you let me ask you. Do you have specific questions? Pricing journals Pricing journals, a lot of things goes into that fact. I'm going to do another glassine bag while we're talking because we have 15 more minutes. So there's that. I don't remember what else I said I was going to do, but I'm going to do another one of these quick. So a large tag can go in there, right? You can stick a large tag in there, something like that. Even wider because you have quite a bit of space. I don't really have anything offhand. Like I could finish the rest of this postcard backing thing and stick that in there. You could stick this in there. That actually kind of looks cute. It would need a tab on it so you could pull it out easy, but that kind of looks cute in there. So anyway, specifics. We're going to do that and one more. Let me find another glassine bag. 8:45, 9:42. All right. You guys are hanging out with me. Let me grab another glassine bag. We'll get that done. And they're in here somewhere. Please tell me they're in here. Oh my goodness. Well, there's another kit in here somewhere. Let me pull one out of another kit. There's another kit right here. Here's another glassine bag. Okay. So pricing of journals. A lot of things go into it, like so I would say how long you've been making journals plays a price in it, or plays a part in pricing. And it does to some degree, but not really, because there are people who they can pick up supplies and they can make their very first journal and it looks like they've been making journals for 10 years. And there's other people that it takes 10 years to get to that point, right? So the length of time you've been making journals plays a small factor in it. The style of junk journal plays a lot into pricing of junk journals. The size, the number of signatures, the number of pockets, the number of ephemera pieces plays a lot into the pricing of journals. But the number one thing that plays into the pricing of journals is your community that you have built. So if you are out there and you're making videos and you are putting out a lot of content, you're picking up subscribers, you're building your own community, those people are following you because they like what you make. They like the style of things you make. They like learning whatever they're learning while they're there. If you look at the larger YouTube channels, like if you want to look at, well, I'm not going to mention them. You guys know the larger YouTube channels that you follow. A lot of times those people have been making journals for a while. They built up quite a bit of a community. And if you watch those larger channels, a lot of times their journals sell before the journals ever even hit Etsy, or they list them in Etsy and they're gone instantly. I'm not talking about myself here for a reason. I'm kind of leaving it to other people who are out in the community with a following. But so your following, the following that you built yourself for your own, social media, that plays the biggest part in pricing of journals. And what I mean by that is, if you have built the community and you've put in all the work and all the time to build that community, usually there's people in there who like what you've been making, and that kind of helps your journals sell. Now, that's not an excuse to make cheap, quick journals just because you have a community. First of all, there are people who have tried that. They built that big community and then they started just making really, really quick, really, I don't want to say thoughtless, but very fast make journals, and they didn't put a lot of time in them and they didn't put a lot of work in them. Maybe they're using all pre-printed ephemera, or maybe they're just selling naked journals or whatever. The channels who I've seen do that, generally they get mass unsubscribed, and basically they ruin their own channel. They ruin all that hard work that they did. So don't cheap out. Don't make cheap journals. Don't make them fast. What I really suggest you do is you start making what you love to make. and you don't deviate from what your own style is. Don't, fall into the trap of like the YouTube algorithm and, trying to like please that and keep that, going. And don't fall into the trap of like trying to, grow this huge audience without doing like, checks and balances, and make sure that you're putting out good content that people like, and that you're giving back to the community. You're not just taking, right? That's a really big thing with me is, if you guys know, I try very hard to give back to the community because the community supports me and has been very good to me, and I want to be very good back to the community. But so build your community, put out quality work. Don't, use your community as an excuse to kind of just get cheap with your work, but make what you love, make what your heart tells you to make what your creative brain tells you to make, and build that community. Start turning on the camera. I know it's scary in the beginning. Just turn on the camera, start making your videos, putting your videos out there. I think that you will find that more often than not, the community is a very nice and kind community, and they will support you. And there's people out there, something to keep in mind is there's people out there who are exactly where you are. Maybe you're a beginner, and there's people out there who are also a beginner. And so don't feel like you have to be an expert. You have to have made junk journals for 15 years before you can, start a YouTube channel and be out there and, making videos. My suggestion is, even if you have never made a junk journal before in your life, and especially if you've never made a junk journal before in your life, turn that camera on, start making videos. Be honest about it. Say, hey, make my first junk journal with me, right? And turn that camera on and film that video, and let the community be there and help you and guide you and, follow along with you on your journey as you make your very first junk journal. I think that would be a great, idea for people to start with. And then from there, make what you love, keep doing it. Don't deviate from your style. Don't look at what's popular. Don't look at what this person over here made this and it sold for this much. And, so I'm going to copy that. Do your own style, find your own style. Don't deviate from that. Don't try to please other people with your art. Just make the art that pleases you. And I think that you'll find that community, that's what that community loves. More than anything, is that community loves you being true to your own style and not, deviating and trying to be somebody that you're not, right? So just be true to your own style. From there, I think that your audience will set, to some degree, your audience will set a price for your journals. And what I mean by that is, when you're beginning, you have to ask an honest price for your journals, no matter where you are in the journey. But when you're beginning, you to me, I can't charge an arm and a leg for my journals if I know that I'm not using quality materials. I can't charge an arm and a leg, and what I mean by that is I can't charge the top tier price for a journal that I haven't used the best supplies for. If I'm not using quality glues, well then, no, I can't charge that much for my journals, because if I'm using dollar store glues, and I'm not saying you can't ever use dollar store, but what I'm saying is you can't use dollar store stuff for stuff that's important, like glues, like adhesives, like stuff like that. You need to use quality stuff so that the journals are well built, that will last a long time, and that you feel comfortable that you made a quality product that is worth charging somebody some money for. And so if you use quality supplies and you've spent the time, making honest art where it's true to your style, it's true to your, creative mind, and you really poured your heart and soul into it, you're never going to sell a journal for an hourly rate. So if you're sitting there and you're thinking, well, I want to pay myself $20 an hour to make a journal, it's never going to equal that. You're never going to make $20 an hour selling junk journals. What you are going to get is you are going to be able to have the fun of making a junk journal for your own hobby that you can then turn around and sell, because we can't have a million journals, right? Like if I kept every journal that I was supposed to, make, I say supposed to because some of them aren't finished, but if I kept every journal that I made over the years, I would have hundreds of journals. I can't keep hundreds of journals. So yes, I do sell some journals, but that's okay. It's okay to sell some journals. It's okay to let some go. And for pricing, a lot of things come into play. If it's a single signature journal, for me, if it's a single signature journal and I use authentic, handmade, if I use authentic ephemera in it, like antique pieces from France and stuff like that, those things cost, a good bit of money, right? If I've printed my digitals on quality paper and they're nice paper, nice digitals, I spent time and money buying a nice printer. If I use quality supplies, if I make sure that my journal is made where the signature is tight and it doesn't have defects, and then I make all my handmade ephemera, usually you can price them for a couple $100s. That's an average. The top journal makers with channels that have a larger audience, they're able to ask a lot more money. My journals all sell before they've ever hit Etsy, but that's not an excuse just to ask exorbitant prices for them. I don't charge as much as top channels because I'm not a top channel. I have 15, or what is it? 14,000? Yeah, 14,000 subscribers on YouTube. That's not a top channel. I can't ask top channel pricing. My skills probably are not as good as those people's skills. My style might not be as good as their style. So I think you have to base your journey of making and selling journals on a couple of reality checks. You're not going to make $20 an hour or 50 or whatever. Think you're not going to. If you take commission work, if you accept people's commissions where you're going to make them a journal that they tell you, hey, I want this made for a purple unicorn theme and in the Baroque style. If you take commission work, you can charge a little more because those journals are harder to make. It's always harder to make somebody else's style than what your own brain comes up with, right? Like, so I think you can charge a little more to take commission work. I don't take commission work because I don't have time. In the very beginning, I did just because I thought it was fun. It's a challenge every time you get a commission to, make something that somebody else dreamt up. But at the same time, commission work is also intimidating because you have to get it right. You might be asked to make something, a journal for someone who, maybe it's a journal to remember a loved one who'd passed away. There's an incredible amount of pressure in making a kind of journal like that. You have to get it right. You know that oftentimes they want you to include very personal, photos and mementos and things like that. And that's a lot of pressure. So a lot of people who take custom orders do not take that kind of a journal request because it's harder. It comes with a lot of pressure. And also some people can't deal with the emotions of it, right? So whether or not you take commission work can depend on pricing. Commission work, I think, is priced higher. Top journal makers, obviously they can ask whatever, because if you've got 70,000, 80,000, 150,000, whatever of subscribers on your channel, that basically you could flop out junk and they would buy it, which I'm just being 100% honest with you. I see some of the top channels flop out junk and people buy it. And I'm not trying to be mean. But you guys know that there's some channels out there where they just, I don't know why. I mean, I don't know why, but they have a really large audience and they do put out a lot of videos. But there's one channel in particular that I'm thinking about with this. All of their stuff comes from China, Temu, and all of it's all just, I printed the digital kit, I sewed it into a journal, and I put like a couple little Temu things on each page, and they sell those journals for like $700 a journal. I don't know how that compute, because she literally advertises that she made 26 journals this weekend. I don't know how you can make 26 journals in a weekend unless they're done like that, where they're very quick and easy to put together. And so if you made 26 journals in one weekend and you sold them for, let's say she only sold those ones for 500, how? I just don't know how. More power to her, I guess, but to me, that's being a little bit too capitalizing on your audience. To me, that it would feel wrong to do that, but I'm not naming names and I'm not trying to throw her under the bus. You guys will probably not, follow along with what I'm saying because I'm being very vague, but I'm just saying, charge an honest price for your work. And if somebody's paying you for something that you're making, put the effort into making it a good quality product. If you've made, 20 of them in a couple of days and you use dollar store things and things that were from Temu or whatever, mass produce, things, I don't see how that can be worth that much money. But if her audience is willing to pay it, then more power to her. I wouldn't feel comfortable with it. For me, I have to put in way more hours in a journal than I will ever get paid back for, just because I want to make sure the person is happy. Their happiness is more important to me than the hourly wage that I got back. And I don't charge for classes because I don't want to take money for content and things that it's readily available. You can watch YouTube for free. So why would I charge you a class fee? It doesn't make any sense to me to do that. I know a lot of people will charge for classes, and if you take the class, all of the information is out there on YouTube anyway. So again, if those people have people that are paying for classes, more power to them, but I wouldn't feel right about doing it. I feel like you should always give more to a community than you take. And in the junk journal community, I think it has been very good to me. It has taught me a hobby that I love, and it has given me way more joy than that I could ever give back. So I try to do the few things that I can do, like, I'll do free classes, or I'll, show you guys. If I learn a new technique, I'll show you. If I find a new pocket to make, I'll show you in the 365 series. So I try a lot to give back. I don't ever want to be one of those channels that just takes and constantly asks. So that's that. But pricing of journals, I would say, if you want to learn how to sell journals, I would recommend that you make something that makes you happy. And if you're happy with the finished product, come up with enough, a price that is going to pay for the supplies that you purchase. Now, when I say pay for the supplies, I don't mean pay for the whole entire bottle of art glitter and pay for 5 glue sticks. And that's not what I mean. What I mean is, if you bought a digital for a specific journal and that digital was a couple of bucks, and you bought some paper and you printed some things, like a normal, reasonable price for your supplies. Don't charge for like the craft cart that your supplies are on. Obviously, use reason, but come up with how much that journal actually cost you to make. Maybe you bought like a yard of lace and you used half of it, that kind of a thing, right? So come up with the cost of supplies. Number 2, think about how many hours you put into it. And what I mean by that is, you're not going to pay yourself an hourly rate, but think about how much time you put into it as far as effort. Now, that can be confusing for some people, because for some people to collage this glassine bag, it might have taken you 2 hours. So time is relevant to a degree, but think about how much time you really spent on making the journal, and think about how much of that time was the physical manual assembly, and how much of that time was digging through your bin for the perfect little tag, and thinking about, well, should I put this flower here? Should this music be on the front or in the back? Like, your decision making of that kind of stuff and you're searching for supplies, I think that's your, cost of doing business. And I think the actual time that it took to sit down and physically assemble a journal is what I would consider. And so maybe it took 30 hours or 40 hours or something like that to make a journal. Now, if you were paying yourself $20 an hour, that's $600 or $800. Are you going to sell a journal for 600 or 800? Maybe. I can't tell you that because I don't know a lot of factors, but what I can say is the average selling price for a single signature journal is somewhere around $200. That's the average selling price for a fully decorated, handmade single signature journal. So, are you going to get rich making junk journals? Are you going to be able to quit your job where you were making 90 grand a year or something? No, you're not. But will you be able to supplement your social security check if that was your situation by making journals? I know a lot of women who do that. By a lot, handful, 12, 15, 20 women who supplement social security checks by making journals. And while they are buying some supplies, they're being smart with what they buy. They might be thrifting. They might shop with me for some of the key points, like a French ledger or something like that, where they're getting hundreds of pages that they can use, in a bunch of different journals. So I think that you can make money, but you have to be smart about it. You can't go out there and spend $1 million, on craft supplies and then let them sit in your craft room and never use them. You need to use the things that you spent the money on. Make journals smartly. Use good supplies. If you need to learn a skill, take the time to learn and master a skill before you put it into a journal. Make sure that you take the time to learn and master a skill, and then come up with a reasonable price for that journal. And I feel like it's always better to be reasonable with your prices than try to hit that home run. You guys know I sell things on this channel on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and there's a lot of things I sell where I know they're worth more money. And I know that if I listed them here or there or sent them to auction, I would get a lot more money for them. But I think it's just, part of my business model is to do live sales and let them go there. And so if I sell things too cheap, then I sold things too cheap. But whatever, I have enough. I'm doing fine. It's okay to do. So same kind of principle with selling journals. I know that I could ask more money for my junk journals than I do, but I'm having fun making them and I get the enjoyment out of it. So I don't need to hit the home run with the junk journals. I don't need to ask $400. So I'm comfortable selling them for what I sell them for. Usually mine are, I would say 180 to 275, maybe 325. I think I might have sold one at 400, but it was a different style with a lot more ephemera in it. So that's honestly what I've sold mine for. Now, that being said, I spend a lot, I spend a lot of money on supplies. I buy good glues. I spend a lot of time planning them. I do spend a lot of hours on them. I don't make cheap journals. And what I mean is I don't use, dollar store stuff, and I put in authentic ephemera, stuff like that. But no matter where you are in the journey, if you are just starting out and you don't have a lot of money to invest in supplies, what I would recommend that you do is make the best junk journal with the supplies that you can afford. So whatever you can afford, make the best junk journal that you can out of that. And if it's only dollar store glues and things, then that's what you have and that's what you can do. But make the best junk journal out of that. And then when you sell that junk journal, be honest about the pricing. Be honest maybe about the, hey, this might not be heirloom quality journal, but you're going to have a lot of fun with it. You're going to, use it for a month and record something, but it might not be heirloom quality. Because what I'm saying is if you don't use really good glues, chances are that that journal might not last for decades or generations. So just be honest, maybe with the types of glues you used. And some people will ask you, if you're listing a journal in Etsy for sale, be prepared for people to ask you, what kind of glue did you use? How many handmade pieces of ephemera did you put in this journal? They will ask you how many sides of pages or how many pages are in the journal. They'll ask you a lot of detailed questions because all of those things come into pricing too. So if I make this junk journal and I put 4 pockets in here with 4 simple, cheap little tags, it's not going to be worth as much money as if I put 12 pockets in with 12 handmade tags or journal cards, a nice belly band, a bunch of other page elements. Like, the number of pieces of handmade ephemera directly impacts the asking price of your journal. So if you want to make naked journals, there are people who make naked journals. And a naked journal, if you don't know, it's the journal that's sewn into a cover, but it doesn't have any pockets or decorations in it. It's naked because it's bare, right? It doesn't have any decorations in it. No pockets, no ephemera, nothing. So if you want to do that, if you're just starting out, making naked journals is good. They do sell. A lot of people buy them. If you are really good at sewing in a signature, a lot of people out there are intimidated by sewing in a signature. So having one that's already sewn in is great for them because they can pick it up and then they can make their own pockets and their own tags and things. So a good way to start out is making naked ones. And those naked journals, they sell for, I've seen them sell for like $125 if it's a really nice naked journal. Or, if you're making them in an hour or two, you might get $60, $70. If it's something you made in 20 minutes, you might get $30. So naked journals, of course, there's price range for that too. But I think it's a really good hobby and you're going to get a lot of enjoyment out of it. And then from there, you can put them in Facebook groups to sell them. There's a lot of Facebook groups that will allow you to sell a handmade journal that you physically made. And that's where I would tell you to start, is to, instead of, putting it right away into Etsy, because Etsy, things can get lost in Etsy. If you don't have a following that's going to follow you over to Etsy to buy it, my recommendation is you make the best journal you can make with the things that you can buy. And where you do spend your money, spend it on quality materials. Spend it on things like good glues, good supplies, things that maybe add value to a journal, instead of just like everyday stuff. I try to stay away from the Temu and the, mass produced things. I'm not saying I don't own any of it. I do use some of it, but I try to stay away from that just because it's kind of oversaturated. It's everywhere. And in my opinion, I think you can tell by looking at it what it is from a far distance. So anyway, I would stick to buying the best supplies you could buy. I would try to make the best journal that you can make. If you need to learn skills before you start selling that work. It's just because you're going to be able to ask more money, having the confidence that you made a good product, versus asking a ton of money and the journal falling apart and then customer being unhappy or whatever. List it into Facebook groups. That's the best way to sell it. If you have questions about pricing that journal, reach out to other journal makers and show them your journal and say, hey, what do you think I should price it for? Now, not everyone will give you an honest answer. I'm probably too honest and tell way too much stuff, but that's just kind of who I am. I'll spill the whole entire beans, but I think that is great to ask other people for their opinion, but also know in your heart what you need to sell your artwork for. When we start out, we're not an artist yet. When we start out, we're a maker and we're making things because we like making things. So start out with humble, honest pricing. And as as your journey goes along, at some point, only you will know when, you cease being a maker and you start being an artist. I don't call myself an artist because I don't think I am there yet. But at some point in your journey, you might feel like, hey, I'm an artist. And at that point, I think maybe you reconsider your pricing. But in the beginning, when we're starting out, we're just humble makers and we make for the love of making. And if we can supplement a little money here or there on the side, most of us spend that money back into our hobby. Some of us spend that money for utility bills or groceries if, we need to do that. I know people who actually, they couldn't really afford their apartment without selling journals. One lady in particular, she can't afford her rent for her apartment because you guys know how expensive housing is. She can't afford her rent for her apartment unless she sells 6 journals a month. That woman works really, really hard making those 6 journals. She basically, she's retired, so she's home a lot, but she makes those journals. She's in there making journals all the time. And she makes 6 a month. And those 6 journals a month sell for about $180 a piece. And that helps her be able to afford her apartment. So you can make decent money at it, but nothing is easy. Nothing in life is easy. You're not going to just sit down and, make a journal in an hour and have your car payment paid for you. Like, we have to, like everything else in life, you usually get out of it what you put into it. So for her, she's dedicated. She makes beautiful, beautiful journals. She has put out videos. She has built up followings in Facebook groups. Her journals always sell. So again, she had to start somewhere. She had to start as a beginner somewhere. And she started and she put a lot of effort into it. And now she's able to, supplement the money that she needs every month. And that's true for a lot of people. There are people on disability where they have a small disability check. And I don't know, I think disability from the federal government isn't very much money because I often hear people having a hard time paying their expenses off of disability. So the people on disability, you can supplement X amount of your income however you see fit. And somebody that I know makes journals and they're on disability and that's how they afford to live. So yes, absolutely, you can make money selling journals, but I don't want people, because I've had several people come to me and they're like, well, I want to make, $3,000 a month selling journals. And I'm not saying it's impossible, but what I'm saying is that's the wrong way to look at it. You should look at, learning the skill, first of all, buying good supplies, second, if you really are dedicated and you really want to sell them, and then making the journals, and the market will tell you what it's worth instead of you being like, oh, I want to make $3,000 a month. Like, I just think some people think making journals is this like golden ticket where you're just going to get rich quick, and nothing in life is get rich quick. You guys know that. So anyway, I'm going to answer a couple questions here because a lot of them scrolled over the screen. If you guys have questions, you guys know I'm in like truth serum honest mode right now where I will tell you everything. So tell me what questions you have. Nothing is off limits. I will answer you. And then I will probably wrap this up because I've already gone over like 20 minutes. So any questions out there? If I haven't answered it or I gave you confusing answers, I don't mean to. Pricing of journals is difficult. A lot goes into that. This is not one of those things where you're going to get rich quick. You're going to get any money that you get from hard work, because making junk journals while you're sitting and you're having fun, it is a skill and it is effort. It's not just like slap some things on some paper and ask $1 million. So anyway, I think that's what happens is you start off as just a maker who makes for the love of making. And if you're lucky, somewhere along the way you become an artist. And another point of that is, if you approach it as, I'm an artiste and everything I touch is worth $1 million, you're looking at it the wrong way. The people who are successful in the art world, in the crafting world, in the whatever, they didn't approach it with dollar signs in their eyes. They made for the love of making, and then the community recognized their skill, their hard work, and rewarded them. But when you look at junk journal making as a, oh, I'm an artiste and my stuff is worth this, and even if you're like, oh, I have this many followers and that means I'm, don't be like that. Be humble and be down to earth and be true to yourself. And try to be a good person in the process of making some art and selling some things would be my recommendation to some people. But people be what people are. So I just think it's funny how, like, there's these people and they've never made a journal before in their life and they're like, this is my piece of art and I'm an artiste and I'm asking $1,200 for my journal. I shouldn't be like that, but I've had people contact me and they're like, so I want to make this much money making junk journals. And I'm like, but that's backwards. But that's backwards. It's not about how much money you can make making junk journals. It's about, do you like making junk journals? Do you like collage? Are you a paper crafter? Like, how many years have you been making things? Like, I don't know. I look at it differently, I guess. It's a little weird of a conversation. I know. I know. And I'm like way too honest about things and I probably like offend half of my audience. But just like I said, to be true to your art, you have to be true to yourself too. And so sometimes it all just comes out and I just tell you guys the truth about it. The 5-hole bindings, oh my gosh, I love them. The 5-hole bindings, if you've only been making 3-hole bindings for sewing in a signature, the 5-hole bindings are more secure in your journal. You have less wiggle in your journal. The 3-hole is great. It is sturdy enough. It is good enough. But 5-hole, if you can, would be one step further, right? One step of overbuilding, one step better quality, I think. It's a little more effort, a little more time, but I think it's more secure. Yes, Shauna, starving artist is a quote for a reason. And most artists throughout history, they were not even called artists until after they were dead. So there's that food for thought. They like Van Gogh, like a lot of them, they didn't think that they were artists. They actually had huge self-doubt and did not declare, oh, I'm an artiste, my stuff is worth millions of dollars. No, they were just humble people who loved painting or whatever their hobby or artwork was. Most artists did not declare themselves artists. They were humble. They made for the joy of making. And in their lifetime, they never even saw rewards for it. That's sad. And I hope that that doesn't continue that way. But it's just food for thought. Just food for thought. All right. I'm going to switch this camera back around. And we're going to wrap this thing up. I know that I did not do very much as far as ephemera making. Where's my camera? It's over there. There's my camera. Hello, guys. Sorry for the truth serum. When I get really tired, it really is like that. It's like truth serum out of just slap happy tired. I know they only make money after they die, except for then it's like, if they're lucky, their family and their name and their children, but sometimes other people steal it. So who knows? Who knows what happens? In all of that, Don't ever decide that you're going to choose a hobby to make money. Choose a hobby because you love it. First of all, choose a hobby because it brings you joy. I didn't start what I do to make money. I started what I do here because I love it. Because first of all, I loved making junk journals. I never thought, never ever did I think that I was going to start buying all this stuff and having these sales and, you know, have the little success that I have had. When I say a little, like, again, I'm not a top channel. I don't have a Facebook group with millions of people in it. I'm very thankful for what I do have. But what I'm saying is, I didn't go into this with the goal of, I don't, I didn't go into this with the goal of, oh, I'm going to make a video every single day so that I can grow my YouTube following. I didn't go into this with, I'm going to crank out as many journals as I can crank out because I want to make as much money as I can. Um, I went into this just making because it made me happy. And then I needed to find a place, an outlet for all of the things that I made. And in truth, I make probably, I don't know, maybe if I'm lucky, I finish 12 journals a year. So clearly, I'm not trying to make money really off of making junk journals because otherwise I'd make more. But I also started buying all that stuff from Europe, and I was very lucky about how all of that worked out. And I didn't go into that either with thinking that I didn't go into it with buying for resale. I went into it with buying because I loved the old paper. I went into it because I owned an antique store, like a physical antique store, for 25 years. And I used to sell big, huge pieces of furniture and things that were very heavy or things that were glass or pottery and they were very fragile. And it became very hard with my pain and stuff to do that kind of work and being, present at a physical location for an antique store all day. So I kind of, I was in love with antiques. I loved vintage things. I loved old stuff. I loved the hunt for old stuff too, but physically I couldn't do that part anymore. After I got very sick in like 2008, 2009, I got very ill to the point where I could not continue to do that kind of physical work. Um, and so from there, I had an antique store, owned it for 25 years. I sold that antique store to a customer who, a longtime good customer. She always loved my store. She decided, hey, I want to be the store owner. And so that worked out really well. I'm very thankful that worked out very well. But it created a huge void in my life too, because I had this huge passion for old stuff and antiques, and I had to give it up. And it kind of, I mean, it didn't kind of, it broke my heart to give it up. And I don't think it was healthy for me just to give it up either, because I was ill and everything else in life was crazy. And I lost something that I truly loved. Like, not the things, not the physical things, but the passion of finding new things and matching the beautiful thing that you found with the customer who absolutely loves it and it was meant for them, and it has some special memory or it reminds them of something. Like, I missed that. And so for a long time I didn't have antiques and that kind of antiques in my life. I wasn't buying and selling and that kind of thing. But then I found, I was, doing some scrapbooking, doing some card making, doing some crafting slowly as I was getting better. I was doing some crafting and made some jewelry, all the things, right? Because I was trying to find the thing that I truly was like passionate about. Like, I liked making jewelry. It was fun. I liked making cards. It was fun. I liked scrapbooking. It was fun, but there was still that lack of excitement, I guess, for me. And so it was during COVID, a little bit before COVID, and I had made these books. I had made these paper books and I'd been making them. I used to sell some occasionally here or there. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. they're calling them junk journals. And I'm not saying like I was not the first junk journal maker by any stretch of the imagination. I just didn't know what I was making had a name. I was thinking they were called, like memory books or more along the scrapbooking line, something like that. But then I saw that people were calling them junk journals, and I saw that they were mixing in a bigger variety of things, because before I was just mixing in like scrapbooking things and maybe some coffee dye or something like that. But I didn't realize like you could mix in whatever you wanted. And then they were starting to mix in like vintage things. And that's really where the light bulb like clicked. And I was like, okay, so I can take something that I do like doing, which is paper crafting, which is making, these books that I was making, and I can put antique things in them. I can find these antique cabinet cards that I had collected, and I could put those in junk journals, and I could put like some trade cards, and I had some Victorian scrap, and I had all kinds of other old letters and things like that I didn't really think of as craft supplies. I thought of them as antiques. And so then once I married the two together, once I married paper crafting with vintage and antique things, I was a goner, because that was it. That was like the ultimate combination of what would make me happy. And it's that spark, it's that light of, I don't want to say light of my life, but it is. It's that excitement that I get to combine two things that make me genuinely happy down to the core of my soul. And so for me, that's what making junk journals is it's a passion and a hobby, and brings joy. And then through that, I was buying all of these old, paper things because I was using them personally. And then slowly but surely, I started buying, better quality things, more expensive things. I had friends that lived in Europe, and they were able to send me things. And so over time, I started started buying too many things. And then I was like, well, I know how excited I get when I find an antique ledger in France that's just beautiful. And I know how excited I get when I see that beautiful French calligraphy. And it's not that I don't love American things. I do love American things, but American things are harder to find because America is a younger country. We don't have as old of a history with as many artifacts that are still out there and can be found at a reasonable price. And so I do love American things, and I will buy whatever American things that, I think we can use. But the problem with American things is they're not as old. The calligraphy is beautiful, but not quite as beautiful as the French calligraphy. And so I really started buying a lot of European things, and then I started having too much European things, and also I knew the joy it brought me. And I had met quite a few people, and they, were always asking me, "Hey, did you get any new ledgers?" Because in the olden days, if you were my friend, I would always share everything I had with you. So I couldn't do that as time grew, because it was like then I would have nothing. But I still share quite a bit. So anyway, I started buying more and more. I started sharing more and more. And throughout time, it became where the selling of junk journal supplies brought me back to the old days of owning the antique store, where I saw the connect the dots, where I would find something that made me so excited because I loved it. It was truly beautiful. It was a great find. And then I could see where I could share that excitement and that happiness with someone else when they bought it. Because when they bought it, they also got the joy of finding it, and the joy of owning it, and the joy of having it and using it and scanning it and all the things that you can do, whether you put it in a journal or not. And so I do like to see the chain of happiness when you find something that you love, like an old ledger, and you take it all apart. And some people will be mad about taking it apart, but I look at it this way. If I kept that one ledger, or someone else kept that ledger whole, that's one person. The chain of happiness ends with one person owning it. But if I can take that ledger apart and split it out into 60 or 100 different ledger page packs, that's 60 or 100 dots of happiness. That's 60 or 100 people who got to open that up and go, oh, wow, that paper feels amazing. It's full of amazing calligraphy. They also got the happiness. And so then those 60 or 100 people might take a paper from that paper pack and put it into a junk journal that they made, or maybe they send it to Happy Mail to somebody. Maybe they share it with a friend of theirs. And those dots of happiness and joy keep going and keep going and keep going. Right? So that's that's what makes me happy. That's what makes me happy. Making junk journals, playing with old paper, sharing the things with all of you and everyone else, and watching the dots of happiness are what make me happy. And I don't know how else to phrase it other than the dots of happiness. The dot of happiness of me finding it, the dot of happiness of me taking it apart and, experiencing the history of it, the dot of happiness of me sharing it with all of you, seeing all of you guys get happy, the dots of happiness of when I know you sent it to somebody for Happy Mail because I see it on YouTube, or the dot of happiness where I see somebody make an amazing junk journal with it and I see how happy their audience is, because a lot of people that I sell to, they have channels, they have audiences. So it is the dots of happiness. Anyway, that's all I got. That was a whole lot of talking. A whole big bunch of talking. But anyway, none of that is possible without all of you guys. None of that is possible without all of the followers. Whether you stopped by the channel for a minute or you stopped by the channel for a year or 2 or 5. None of this is possible without you guys. And I thank you guys very much for the dots of happiness that you give to me. And I hope that we have many more dots of happiness in our future. Who knows where this crazy thing is going to take us, right? So something very simple, right? Who knows where it's going to take us? So all I will say to all of you is make what makes you happy. If making junk journals or making whatever kind of art, crocheting, whatever makes you happy, do it, but do it because it makes you happy. Don't look at it as I can make X amount of much money from it. The money should always be secondary, and if it makes enough money to support you continuing to make, then really that is the goal. Other than that, if you are lucky enough to sell junk journals and have an audience, more power to you. Keep working at it. Keep trying to outdo yourself. Keep trying to put more and more into the junk journals. Keep, use your supplies, because if you bought it and it just sits there, first of all, the dot of happiness ends because it just sat there. Second of all, like I said with the journal, the ledgers, me owning one whole ledger makes me happy for, a period of time. But if I share it with other people, then it makes more people happy. So when you guys buy things and you just hoard them in your craft room, yes, it will make you happy. And I'm not like immune to hoarding. Certainly I hoard things, but at some point you're going to be ready to give it up. And when you're ready to give it up, use it, put it into something that you love, pour your heart and soul into what you make. And then I think this community is amazing. And I think this community will reward you based off of you putting hard work and effort into it. Oftentimes, you guys have seen the posts on Facebook. People are mad because they can't sell something. Don't ever be mad because you can't sell something. That just means you get to keep something that you're supposed to love in the first place. Don't ever get mad because you can't sell something. It just means you get to keep something that you were supposed to love in the first place. It's kind of important. If you made it and you don't love it, why would anyone else love it, right? I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm just saying if you made it because you loved it, chances are other people will love it too. Oh my gosh. I'm definitely not your dot of happiness, I hope. I hope that we share some dots of happiness together. Yes, definitely. I hope that we share some dots of happiness together. If nothing else, we have a good time, right? We have a good time hanging out like this. So, thank you all for that too. Thanks for hanging out with me on a weird Monday. Weird and wild Monday. And it's okay to keep things too. I don't mean it like that. It's okay to keep things too. But at some point you will be ready to give it up. You will be ready to share it. You have to be ready to share it first. So there's that. All right, guys, I'm gonna let you go. Have a good rest of your night. I will be back here tomorrow for sharing. There's a Tuesday night live sale at 6 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. I will get the times right. It is 6 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. Tuesday night live sale. I will be sharing. I'll try to bring you some dots of happiness tomorrow. And on Saturday, we will continue with this series where I promise all we will make on Saturday are pockets and tags and journal cards. It's ephemera making day. So be prepared, bring your supplies. Let's make pockets, let's make tags, journal cards, tucks, whatever else we have to make. And let's get that ephemera done. Now, will we make it all in 3 hours? No, we won't. Will we make a lot in 3 hours? Yes, we will. Will I film some 365 videos? I have some, and I will hopefully film more. That's all I can tell about 365 right now. I have really had to just accept the fact that life right now is getting in the way. It's been hard. Some people are very unhappy with me about it. You guys know I am trying my hardest to make it all work. And so, yes, we will do 365s for sure. I know, I'm so trying. It kills me. It really kills me because people are mad. They're unsubscribing. They're leaving me mean comments. I am trying. You know, I am trying. It's a lot. It's a lot. What takes a 15-minute video will take you at least 4 hours. So there's that. Again, I could just put out garbage, but I try not to. Sometimes I put out garbage without knowing I put out garbage, but I try to put good effort into what I do. So there's that. Oh my gosh, my sweet little baby. Oh my goodness. He was so sweet. He was super crabby on Saturday morning, but other than that, after some things happened that needed to happen, he was good. If you guys follow me, he was good. My little baby, super sweet. Yes. Um he is just the smiliest little baby, and it was so good for me too, very quickly. So good for me too because in the morning when he woke up, I had never seen him like that in the morning. The last time I watched him overnight, he was just a couple months old. And so, he didn't have like much of a personality yet then because he was just busy being a baby and growing. But now he's 6 months old and he has personality. So when he wakes up in the morning, he is just the happiest little morning baby ever, just jumping and wiggling around, and like he doesn't wake up and cry. He just wakes up and plays and entertains himself laughing at the ceiling fan or who knows what for like 30 minutes. And then if you even look at him or walk by him, he will just giggle and laugh and squeal and jump around. Like, I swear he is just the happiest baby in the morning. It's for about half an hour. Then we need to take care of some things. And after that, he'll go back to sleep for a little bit. And then he's the happy baby all over again. So I get it twice every morning. And then slowly, that morning happiness, he gets bored, I think is what's going on, is he's bored because he can't crawl yet. He tries very, very hard and he's almost there, but he's missing just a little section of it. And once he realizes that he can crawl and he figures it out, he'll be back to happy. But right now he's a little frustrated little man because he's trying and he can't quite get his coordination down. He hasn't quite figured out that he's got to put his knees up and like push. He's just like wiggling there on the floor and getting frustrated without crawling, but he's close. He's close. So once he does that, I think he'll be happy again. I'm glad that you guys got to see your grandchildren. That's super cute. All right, guys. Thanks so much. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.